That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Goglings, Gog types, Gog peoples. Welcome the fine peoples of the internet and all those who support the DRM free community and beyond to another session of Pen and Pixels. It is episode 246, and this is D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder as the crew has reassembled for D&D Magic. And I know that people are excited about this. We do this once a month, and you couldn't be as excited as I am. I am super excited. It's going to be great. And in fact, I didn't even show you this, which is the Pen and Pixels logo, because I was too busy listening to that awesome video that we had. So I hope folks are looking forward to what I expect is going to be a really good time and are looking forward to an amazing session. Before we get started, though, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on GOG. If you haven't already done so, please follow the channel. That is always a great thing to do. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to us here on the channel as well. That supports not only the channel, but also supports us individually as streamers, the crew of streamers that brings you content on GOG.com's Twitch channel all the time, 24/7, not exactly, but many hours of the day and many days of the week and many weeks of the month and many months of the year and many years since we started doing this. And that support that you can give us is very helpful. And while we're on the subject of support, please consider clicking through to our individual channels as well, where we have various sub buttons and subsystems and Patreons and all that kind of good stuff available for you. But now the time has come to welcome everyone to this. I'm going to unmute myself so they know that we're ready to go, and then I'm going to unmute them, and then I'm going to bring us over to dun 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 the incredible crew. They are here, they are ready, and everyone, including a flowered chair, is here and available for all. I am very, very excited to have this crew with us because there's a lot happening in this campaign, people, and we're about to talk about it all. But you see the wonderful people before you assembled. We were talking beforehand about something which I want to reiterate. As always, it comes from Mike, one of the nicest guys on the internet, who talked about the importance that everybody goes through things. We are all going through a lot as a species, and so it is important to recognize that we're going through that together. And I do think it is important not just to celebrate individual difference and diversity, but to celebrate common experience and humanity. And that's one of the things that we try to do in these campaigns. It's why I love D&D. It's why it's my favorite game, because it gives us a chance to do that. And so I could not be happier to having just run a lovely, awesome Adventures of Middle-earth session with different kinds of feels, to now join this wonderful group of people, all friends, who we get to have lots of fun with each other and tear some things up in the Forgotten Realms, and to do so for the hope that we will bring everyone together there, as we hope to bring you all together in chat. So welcome, everyone. And I'm going to start, as always, by talking about our fearless leader of the GOG stream team, who is not at all now hooked on Talisman. That is not the case. It's not the case that she loves Talisman, or that Darksaber and I had anything to do with that current addiction. That's not what happened at all. So I would love to have Pyron talk to you about the good news about Talisman. No, I'm just kidding. But it's always a pleasure to have Pyron with us. Pyron, how are you doing? How's life? And how's Talisman? How's the playing of the game?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much. I do enjoy Talisman, but I also finished Shardlight tonight. So I do play other games once in a while, but yeah, I also played a lot of Talisman, and I got Ebenezer to play Talisman, and our son, our 9-year-old, also started playing Talisman, and he got one of his friends to also play Talisman, which is a problem because they are playing on my account, but still.
Well,
So,
look, I mean,
yeah, he doesn't have his own GOG account yet, so he's playing on my PC, and that's a thing. But yeah, so I am playing as Ina tonight because I'm totally not being Greta Goldenfire in a casino on
right.
a riverboat.
Not at all.
This is Ina. I'm the spiritual advisor to Lord Roaringhorn, and yeah, that's the thing. That's me. I'm Ina. I'm not Greta, not at all.
I'm Ina, right.
Yeah.
Faltish will not light your way. Completely Ina. That's totally what Greta actually, I mean, Ina totally is.
Yes.
Always a pleasure to have Pyron with us. Also always a pleasure to have Darksaber 2K with us. I will, as always, thank Darksaber for doing Moobot and Dashboard as I was getting stuff ready. And also, again, thank you for spreading the gospel of Talisman far and wide through both outer, middle, and inner regions, I think. But how are you doing, Saber? How's life with you and the universe on your end of the world? And who are you playing today?
Well, as we say, feeding Pyron's talisman addiction. I think it helps
Just a
that she
little
won
bit.
her first game as well.
Yeah, that's always the plan, right? You just do that and you're just like, wow, this game is easy. And you're like, outstanding. Welcome to the tutorial level.
I won a lot of games since then.
Oh no, I
The
haven't.
real Dark Souls begins. I haven't.
No, terrible. But yeah, no, I'm trying to keep myself busy. I had the crap scared out of me last week because I finished playing Until Dawn on my channel. It's not on GOG, it's not on PC, but it was really, really good. The problem is because it's Halloween, I'm looking at scary games. I don't think anything's going to match up to that now. I may have peaked a little too early with the horror games for the next couple of weeks, but oh well. But yeah, tonight I am not Celsigmauer. I am Penbach. I can't remember what I said I do for Lord Roaring Horn at the moment, but probably lots of shouting and distractions.
Yes,
Financial
you might be his
advisor.
economic advisor,
Security,
maybe.
absolutely.
It could have been, yes.
Maybe an economic advisor, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think I advised him to bet all on black.
Yes, exactly. Always
Let
bet
it
on
ride.
black. Always bet on black. Yeah, everyone is an advisor, I think, in that crew. Well, it's always a pleasure to have Saber with us. Also, always a pleasure to have Mike Smith with us, also known as Peripheral Mike, also previously known as Screaming Joypad. It is great to have Mike with us as more work continues to be done on the home. Normally, you would see Mike sort of traveling through a void landscape behind him, sort of the feeling of VR experience, the full Mike Smith experience. But in this case, he's got the green screen on and is ready to not at all play Urash, I think is what we're talking about. How are you doing, Mike, in your end of the world, and who are you theoretically playing?
I've got absolutely no idea who this Urash is, but Lord Roaring Horn, who I
Yes.
shall be playing this evening, is absolutely fundamentally excited to be at this shindig of a casino, a floating casino with his friends and his confidants, Pen Bach, who is his personal economic advisor and security consult. We've got Toothpick, who is the chief food tester and also making sure I don't get poisoned. I'm very important in Neverwinter, don't you know? And also Ina, the spiritual advisor. I'm a very spiritual man, very high up in the clergy, friends with the bishop in Neverwinter, don't you know? But yeah, so that's my character sorted. Me in general, I'm good, to be honest with you. I had a bit of a wobble last week, some mental health issues. I'm not a fan of like going into too many details, but completely comfortable enough to say that last week was difficult. This week is easier. If you're having a difficult week, you don't have to do it alone. So if you've got someone to talk to, then talk to them. It helps, even if they're just listening to you or just hearing the words. It helps. I advocate friends, family, therapists, anything that can help. Yeah, other than that, things are moving in the right direction, although we're having to now start destroying things in the home in order to rebuild them. So I'm ripping up floorboards right now in the bedroom. Got the green screen set up because a lot of the bedroom stuff is actually behind the green screen. So I thought I'd start to invest in a few bits and pieces just to say, kit out the studio. So I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be making more content at home, which may or may not, please watch this space, include video game related content, including which may or may not be limited to live streaming. Who knows? I know, right? Exciting.
Return to
I feel
glory.
like I'm hyping this up a little bit too much, but there you go. I'm nothing if not a walking hyperbole.
I can't wait for like 10 minutes now from it's like news flash. Peripheral Mike announces further return.
Yeah.
Son of a
Turn of the mic.
It is always a pleasure to have. It's always a pleasure to have Mike with us, and I do want to reiterate what Mike said about the mental health thing. It is enormously important, as I hope everyone knows, to be able to speak to someone. I mean, a lot of what we do, honestly, even in something like D&D, it is a context for hanging out. It's a context for hanging out in a different way. It's a context where we get to do specific things that we like doing when we hang out. But it really is about being collectively together, and that means talking to others. And I think it's important that people are doing that, especially when they're going through tough times. I really hope that in 2020, if there's anything we can learn, it's the importance of recognizing that no one is an island, and to spend your life pretending you are one is to isolate yourself unnecessarily when there are many other people on their own islands looking at you and thinking they wish that they could be with we're all in this together as part of the point. And so please reach out to people, as Mike said. Last but certainly not least, it is a great pleasure, of course, to have Tasty Chai with us, and Tasty Chai's pet/familiar, who will be making an appearance later on in those ways. Chai, it is good to see you. How is life in the universe? I want to mention to chat, I said this before, that when I pop up Zoom, so Pyron showed up first, so she's in the dark, like the darkness of the room, and it's like late, right? And she's like, hello, welcome. And then Chai comes on and she's holding a baby and there's like blaring light behind her, and I'm just like the opposite corners, right, of just like, pow, light is in your face. So Chai, how are you? How is life in the universe? How is your baby doing? How are you doing? And who are you playing today?
I just want to say window. That's what that is.
Wow, light.
I know, and I can't like get the levels right because I don't have lights right here because otherwise it's way too bright. So it's just like my levels are weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in heaven. That's what's going on.
Heaven involves flowery chairs and
it does.
Yeah.
It does largely to keep the baby gook off the chair.
Sure.
So that's nice.
Sure.
As far as life is fine. Life is fine. Life is busy. Life is crawling.
Yes.
So that's been a lot of fun. All drawers are free game. So I've just been stepping on all of the kitchen utensils. It's been a lot of fun. As far as what we're doing today, I am playing Toothpick, who is the keeper of the buffet and maker surer of no poisonings. That's what I'm doing.
Yes, and in fact, last at the end of our session, Toothpick also may have been contacted directly by someone the party thought they knew, who may have had a little bit of a musical instrument / harper connection, but we will talk about that in just a
something
moment.
like that, I think. I also want to tell Celsig Phasmophobia for horror games. It's a lot of fun, especially if you have fun people to play with.
100%. I'm watching people stream that constantly right now.
Everyone's been playing that, yeah.
Oh, it's way fun.
Yeah. So I've heard that you all can enjoy your scary games. I will not be playing them. I hate horror games with a passion because they scare me and I don't like being scared. But I do like spooky. And so I do want to mention, since we talked about this, that I mentioned to my chat before that the Infinity and Beyond crew that is a long-running group on my own channel is finishing up the Curse of Strahd, and they're going to be doing their last session a week from this Friday, leading into Saturday, Halloween. So they will be closing out Curse of Strahd, a vampire-driven adventure, on Saturday, 31st, Halloween, and I have been feeling incredibly smug about it. So
did you time that, or was it
incredible?
2 years ago, I said if I work, no, I just got completely lucky, and
that's so cool.
Yeah, so I was just kind of like, all right, look, this is what we're gonna do. So it's gonna be a marathon session. There will be costumes and all that kind of good stuff. So very excited about that. If anyone is curious, and then after, I will always, as usual, on Halloween, I always read Poe's The Raven, and then one other short story. Last time it was, I think, Cask of Amontillado, but I usually do something by the master of horror, without whom no other horror would exist, according to people like Stephen King, who write it these days. And it's Edgar Allan Poe is the person who really gives you that stuff. So I do like spooky, even if I don't like scary. And yeah, so anyway, I wish everybody a happy Halloween from this session, since I'll be seeing them all again in November. But the time has come to do our little bit of a recap. So let's do it up, folks, as I fire up this music, which is provided to us, incidentally, by Greenforge. I have a relationship with Greenforge Studio that allows me to use this music on all of my campaigns, including on this channel. There we go. There's the music. And I really like Greenforge's stuff. If you get a chance, check it out. We have an arrangement with them, and Greenforge really does good stuff. This person actually is Gabe Lefkowitz, who is the concert master of the Louisville Orchestra, and also did the soundtrack for Pop-Up Dungeon. And this is a full orchestra doing this music, which is one of the reasons why it's awesome. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about what happened last time. The party has made its way to this Grand Dame, which is this ship in Yartar that is basically a floating casino. Why have they come to this place, you say? Well, it's not because they love gambling, though perhaps in Celsig's case that's a possibility, but it's more because they have tracked down this coin that was left at the site of where Queen Nerissa was killed. This place that was... this storm giant queen, who was killed, and thus sent all of the storm giants and eventually the Ordning into an uproar. King Hecaton eventually disappeared. And it was his daughter. Did I say Nerissa? I think I meant Queen Nai. His daughter was Nerissa, and so he ended up disappearing. Excuse me. He ended up disappearing. And so it was up to the party over time, over many, many months and several years of play, to discover sort of the details of why this has all happened. But they've eventually figured out that someone is responsible for setting up this collapse of the Ordning, the collapse of the Storm King, an attempt to basically throw the giants off and to send them into war against the good peoples of the Sword Coast. And so that's why the party has been trying to figure out where Hekaton is, and then secondarily, who actually killed the queen, because if they can gather this information, they may be able to track down Hekaton's location. And so the party found its way through the use of this gambling coin, which I believe I still have here, that golden goose coin, have tracked themselves down to the Grand Dame, where they have found several interesting figures. The first is the actual ruler or leader of this place, of this casino, the owner of it, a guy named Casper Drylund, who looks like this. Drylund, as you can see, is a wonderful person, no problems at all, like everything seems to fit completely, it's all good, but also has a pet octopus that he carries around with him, and yeah, a little weird, a little strange maybe, but everyone seems to sort of take it in stride here on the Grand Dame in that casino. He is also guarded by his sort of chief lieutenant, whose name is Pao Ming, who I believe it was Ina, not Greta, spent some time talking to last time, I believe, about her position on the ship, about whether she should look at things differently, about all that sort of thing, which Pao Ming seemed to both say, oh, okay, thanks for the assistance, but also stay in your lane and good luck with Dryland, basically were the two things. And it was noted, I think, by Selsig that the kimono you see her wearing there, that the snakes there seem to be flickering out their tongues for real and not just on the dress for a moment, which was a little weird and creepy, but you know, that's what's going on there. Lord Dryland has invited the party upstairs to speak to them about some issues that may have come up, while the party, of course, is disguised as Ina Penbach of Clanbach, Lord Roaringhorn, and Toothpick. But while the party was about to make their way up in that direction, River, who was responsible for testing and tasting the food, and may have gone a little bit overboard in doing so when it comes to the alcoholic content of that food. But as she was heading up the third and final person that the party has sort of come to terms with here, Nesto the Bard, who is also hanging out here ostensibly because he's a bard and he, finds his way to these places, tapped her on the shoulder and basically said that he needed to speak to her without a trace of an accent before showing her the symbol of a harp, which is the symbol of the Harpers, a secret organization to which River herself belongs. And this is the first time that Nesto has spoken without this accent and spoken in a very different way. And so as we begin our session today, I'm going to begin with River first, actually, and then we'll jump back to the rest of the party. I think Greta and Selsig and Urash are thinking about heading upstairs, but River, you just had Nesto tap you on the shoulder and say this thing about wanting to speak to you, and so I'm going to hand things back over to you. What do you want to do?
I just stop and look at him. Like, what's up? Your voice is weird. Are you drunk too?
He says, I generally try not to get too under the influence if I can avoid it. I can see that you've had a little bit yourself, River. He says while his image slightly sways in front of you a bit.
I was just doing my duty for Lord Roaringrush. It's very important.
She said duty.
He nods and he says, yes. He says, may I have a word with you for just a moment then, River?
Absolutely. We should go somewhere where no one else is. You lead the way.
And he nods and he brings you, and while you're doing this, do you signal anything to your party? Like, do you say something like, I'll be right back? Or
well, I didn't think I could. It seemed like everyone was kind of occupied, so without drawing a ton of attention to myself, right?
Right, that's true. So you don't get, that's fine.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you make your way out, I would say, here. I think actually there's Nesto. All right. I didn't know if I had a figure for him, but I do. Okay, so he brings you out here onto the deck outside that room. and there's only a few people around, but they're not anywhere close, and they don't seem to be paying any attention. And he brings you out front, and he says, I am glad that you and your friends have made your way here. We had hoped that you might find this place, but it was difficult for us to gather information ourselves. The fact that you're here means that what you know matches what we do about this boat. What do you know of Dryland and the Grand Dame?
I know a screaming baby.
It's an excellent disguise, I completely believe.
Yes, it's very believable. So far, we don't know very much. And River's like trying really hard to sober up, realizing that this is important. So like, we don't know much, but we are following this coin. Do I have the coin? Or I think Celsic has the coin.
I think Celsic has it.
Okay.
I should have, yeah.
Yeah, I think you have the coin. So I just described the coin to him. Like, we found this coin. Somebody put it in my hand when we were in a crowd, or in my pocket when we were in a crowd. And so we ended up here because that's the only lead we have so far.
And Nesto nods and says, "It is a reasonable one, and it's more or less what we think we found also. I've spoken to the head of my order, and he's given us information about where some of these things could be found. The area here in Yartar, this place in particular, is strange. For a while, there have been local Harper agents who have noticed that the Grand Dame has been involved in illicit activities, I suppose you might call them, but gambling things are normally not what the Harpers do. The fact that information has come to us suggesting that there's more than meets the eye is what brought us back on board. The person you need to be most concerned about now, I think, is Dryland. We don't know what to make of him, but there's something larger going on here. This isn't simply a gambling ship or a casino. There's some larger ambition at work, but we can't find out what, or at least haven't been able to yet. The thing you need to be aware of, River, is there is danger associated with you. Threats against your lives, and specifically your life as one of the Harpers. Your companions are provisional members, but they are not ones who have been targeted in the same way. You, yourself, are at risk."
Thank you for the warning. I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but I was warned when I came on the Harpers that might happen, and that people might think that I know more than I appear to. But we'll do our best. So far as a party, we've been able to, if not avoid danger, run from it without dying. And that's been nice.
He nods slowly, taking that very seriously. He nods slowly and he says, "Yes." He says, "And so far, your ability to survive has been quite notable. There's a lot riding on the four of you. Your ability to be able to navigate this will be invaluable. You've already made contact with the giants, yes? The storm giants, I mean?"
We have. And we're worried that perhaps one of the stone giants is not who they appear to be, but we don't know more yet. We're trying to find out.
So you see his eyes narrow a little bit, sort of like, not who they appear to be. That is troubling. We've heard nothing of that. And kind of, shakes his head a little bit and then says, "All of this is a bad business. There's something going on that I can't see and I don't like it." He says, "All right, well, just take your care as best you can, and most of all, be careful of," and he pauses and then says, "your mind, I think would be the way to put it. There's something affecting thoughts, people's thoughts, their beliefs, their emotions, something beyond just physical attacks. That is my deepest concern. If there is someone who is disguising themselves, as you say, they may have some of this same kind of power, the ability to alter one's perceptions of them, and that's very dangerous. That's supposed to be our line of work, to seem something we are not. But this one apparently is able to do that without much difficulty. Trust no one but your friends, and, of course, the Harpers that you can believe in. And be careful, River. We have a lot riding on you specifically, not just your friends.
We are as careful as we can be, and I will continue to be prudent. Not only with my friends, but with my appearance as well. It seems to be working.
And he nods and says, very well then. And the pin that he showed you, he sort of puts back into his cloak, and he says, all right, I must now return to the incredibly excited version of the bard that you already know, my friends. I am so glad to be able to provide this, and he lowers his voice again, cover for all of you. And he sort of claps you on the back. Well, back to the casino. There's no reason to wait here.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for your help. I will go sample a little hors d'oeuvres more. Thank you.
And he nods and smiles, and you make your way back in to the room where, and I would say this conversation probably took about 5 minutes. While this was happening, the other three of you, Greta and Celsig and Urash, you notice, I would say, that River is gone. So the question is, do you want to go find her, or are you just sort of chatting with each other for a few minutes? She's not gone for very long, but she does actually leave the room, and Nesto with her.
I am considerably concerned because she is intoxicated. And Urash has done several stupid and potentially fatal things when he's been intoxicated, so I'll try and find her.
Okay. Are you, and what about Greta and Celsig? Are you going to follow Urash, or?
I'm going to stay and see if anyone follows them.
Ah, okay. Greta?
I keep an eye on the woman in the dragon cloak.
Okay. The woman in the dragon cloak, Pao Ming, continues to kind of like scan the room, occasionally looking in your direction, and the stairs. Doesn't seem to be paying particular attention to you, but definitely seems to be kind of looking at everyone in the room at the same time. Celsig, as Urash leaves, I need you to make a perception check for me, please.
Dokey. I got the 3 out of the way. Nice!
Oop, I realized I just covered the die roll. Wow. Okay. Again, the ship just goes wireframe, just like, you know, you are the one. You start doing the one-handed, like, kung fu, you know, like. Yeah, you see everything. Okay, well, there's a couple things to note. You definitely notice that there are, and it sort of is the way that these things, that the room shifts a little bit, or the people in the room shift. Pao Ming's eyes definitely follow Urash as Urash leaves the room. And you notice that there are several people who just look to be like regular casino gamblers or whatever, who also look in that direction. It's subtle. It's not like they all go, you know, like, and stare. But the point is, like, you can see that they are focusing more of their attention on the door than they are on the game allegedly in front of them. And so essentially you're able to, for want of a better term, mark in your own mind who these two people are that are at two of the casino tables. One a man, one a woman. Both of them look to be human, both dark hair, and both of them are looking towards the door that Urash, and before that, that the river went out of. The river went out of.
Okay.
And Urash, when you leave, you probably, how long do you wait before you go? Because you don't see her leave, so you probably wouldn't notice it for, like, I don't know, a minute or so.
Yeah, I think a couple of minutes. Like, we're moving kind of as a group, weren't we?
You were before, yes.
Yeah, I think as soon as, like, we sort of, you know, when you're in a group of people at, like, a party, you know, remember when that was a thing? And, like, you're walking through, and you just sort of like, hey, where'd River go? Like, where is she? That kind of, so between 2 and 3 minutes, I'd say.
Okay. So I would say that when you exit and you sort of head around to the outside, do you go right or left, actually, when you first leave?
I will go left.
Okay.
We'll go left.
His left, which means east, like this way?
Now I have to look at the map. Yes, that way.
Okay. So when you come around to the side, you can see that Nesto the Bard and River are involved in some serious conversation, which is almost finished. It seems to be almost finished because you can hear Nesto basically raising his voice at the end of it as like, "And now it is time to go back inside," he says, sounding very Nesto-ish. And a River turns around and says this thing about, I think it was, what did you say, River? Something along the lines of, time to go back inside?
I needed to go reacquaint myself with the buffet and its potential poisons.
Yes.
In a very drunken way. Very drunk!
Yes. And so you make your way down here towards this stuff. I was just laughing at something I saw in the Zoom chat. So you make your way, and you see that Urash is standing there. Urash, you see the two of them kind of making their way down towards you.
Are you okay, River? You seem to just vanish for a while.
I did not vanish. I was wandering about, following the bubbles. Do you see them? Right there. There goes one. There's another one. Okay. See, they're going that way. I need more drinks.
Nesto says, "She's fine, my friend. Simply enjoying a little bit of the outside air. She was feeling slightly unwell. I brought her out here. As you can see, she is perfectly fit as a fiddle."
Okay, well, as you can probably understand, we're quite protective of each other. So, understandably, when one of us just vanishes, we want to make sure they're okay. And in our line of work, if one of us just vanishes without saying a word, it's normally bad news.
Of course. My apologies for removing her from your presence.
No, that's all right. Are you both okay? Is everything all right?
I believe everything is fine, he says, looking at River. Go ahead and make an insight check for me, please. Yes, insight check for me, please, Urash.
Character sheet, insight check. Doing a dice roll, if I can remember how. Insight. It's 19.
Yeah, you get the impression, it's non-specific, but you get the impression that that Nesto is not saying absolutely everything at the moment. It's not exactly that he's lying. You just get the impression that he's not really giving all the details, so to speak.
Okay. I won't mention it. I'll just take that on board. I'll just be like, okay, well, we have an audience with Captain Dryfinger or whatever his name was. So we're probably going to go back inside.
And Nesto nods and says, very well.
A motion for River, if River wants to follow.
I will go. Is there food? Should I?
Oh, I think some very heavy bread is what you probably need right now.
Oh, I like that. Can it be like the dark stuff with the smell?
Yeah.
And with the white stuff
100%.
on the top?
Yeah, 100%. We'll get you some of the stodgiest food you can. Trust me, having been in this situation myself a couple of times, you need heavy food.
I will follow you to the stodge.
Okay.
God, I shall show you the glory of carbohydrates.
Exactly. It's covered in lembas. Yeah. Okay. So you all make your way back inside the room, and feel free to move respective tokens into their places, where you see Celsig and Greta waiting for you, and all of you are now reunited. Nesto, after bowing slightly, moves off into one corner of the room, looking at one of the gambling tables.
I just realized I was muted. Sorry. Which door did I leave from? Was it this one?
It's actually a window. You came out of here.
Good enough.
Well, it's known to happen before. So wait,
turn around and like jump directly out of the window.
Climbing out the window, going blasted small doors.
God damn Hobbit doors. So on none of the, so are they all windows on the side? There's no doors.
Yeah, there are doors. There is a door here. There is a
Okay.
door here.
Yeah, no, I mean
and
outside,
a door here.
leading outside.
Just the one.
Just the one leading outside. Okay, I misread this boat a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, there's so much. It's an entrance-rich environment.
Yeah, no,
It's
these
by
are all
the blunt
windows.
bit.
Yes, it's by the blunt bit.
No, I
Yeah.
thought the same thing, so don't feel bad.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, they
I'm
look kind of similar, actually. Yeah.
gonna stand in this corner, and then if River's coming with me, I kind of head motion in a ridiculously obvious way. I'm just like, come over here to the other two.
And I do precisely that.
Okay.
In a little bit wobble dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a point of walking over to one of the two people who was watching Urash as he left.
Yes. Who, when they came back in, have, quote, shifted back to their game, but, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, go to the human male and have a look at the table, see what game they're playing.
They seem to be playing some kind of game where you're trying to get to a certain number. You can see that there are multiple examples of it where they have one card face up, one card face down, and then the card gets flipped over, and the dealer has cards in front of them as well. And it seems to be a game where you're trying to get as close as you can to a certain number without going over the number, if you had to guess.
Okay. I'll watch a round of the game to get the rules, but I'll nudge the guy who watched Urash. So how'd you play?
Not bad. I've done worse anyway. What about you?
I've honestly never seen this one before, and I thought I'd seen everything.
This one right here is a good one. This is called White Queen. You see, the idea is to try to get to exactly the number 20. If you can get to the number 20, and you can beat the other one without going over 20, you win. Very simple and easy. But see, I've got something on this one. I know exactly what it is he's going to play next. All right, now look, the dealer here and the dealer who's got this dressed in like finery and so forth, like looks very much dressed up to the nines, pulls out another card. There's already a 9 down, and he pulled out another card, and it's a 10, and puts it next to it. And the guy that you're talking to, Selsig, says, drat. That's going to make things difficult. Looking down at your cards, his cards, you see that he's got a 10 and a 7. And he says, what do I do here? I'm going to have almost nothing I can play. I could try the face up, face down card, or I could ask him to draw one. And he thinks about it, and then, what would you do? Do I draw, or do I stand? Stand means I stay with the score I have. I'll lose, but I won't lose more money. If I go for it, though, I might have the chance to actually win this whole round, but I could also lose more money.
I mean, the odds don't favour being bold. But that's never stopped me. I say not roll the dice. That's a different kind of game. One I'm more familiar with, but I say take the card.
And he nods. He says,
All right, stranger. We'll see if you're right.
and he is going to, let's see what card he gets. He pulls out, the dealer draws for him a 9, which means that he goes to 26.
He says, drat. Well, that was foolish anyway.
And he says,
Anyway, that's the point of the game. Do what you can to try to get as close to 20 without going over it.
Thank you very much. Been here long?
He says, well, just a couple of hours probably. Be getting off when we get back.
Much the same with myself. At my master's pleasure, of course.
Who do you serve?
Oh, Lord Roaringhorn, of the Waterdeep Roaring Horns.
and he kind of looks, like he's not familiar with that branch. And he says,
Oh, is he here?
Oh, yeah, he's a bit hard to miss. He looks a bit orky, but it's not polite to mention it.
and he sort of looks over and his eyes widen. And he says,
He does, at that. Is he a nice fellow?
Oh, the loveliest. Can be a bit hard-headed sometimes, but you know these aristocrats.
and he says, yes, I do. He seems uncertain. Selsig might be the good way to put it. And he says,
So, How long have you served, Lord Roaringhorn?
Oh, feels like years at this point.
Does he pay you well?
It's mostly a self-funding deal.
And he kind of...
I help him acquire wealth, and in helping him acquire wealth, he allows me to acquire wealth for myself. It's a very mutually beneficial arrangement.
He nods slowly.
I'm glad you found one that's beneficial. That's useful information to have. Thank you. And I probably should get back to the game.
Fascinating game. Nice to meet you. What's your name, by the way?
And he says,
My name is Fans. Fans. From a local family.
Nice to meet you. I'm Penbach of the Clanbach.
and he says,
Penbach. He's like, I don't think I've heard of the clan Penbach, but it's good to meet you too.
We get around. See you later.
and he nods and turns back to the game as you head off. Greta, as you're watching all this and you're still watching Pao Ming is continuing to like look around in certain places, are you scanning yourself for anything else, or are you focusing most of your attention on her?
Oh, Lord Dryland is gone, right? He went to his cabin.
Yes, and said that he was looking forward to meeting all of you, like having you meet him in his cabin, presumably whenever you go up.
Well, Pao Ming did not go up to him and tell her about our conversation, which is what I wanted to know. So, I guess I'll wait for our party together so we can venture on. And I'm standing here and being totally fine with Celtic being over at the gambling tables because this is a licensed establishment and everything is fine and lawful.
Mm-hmm. Totally above board.
Yep, I'm just standing here being fine. I'm having a look on around the room, but I'm not looking for anything in particular. Well, if somebody would try to backstab Celtic, I would, if somebody like approaches him like this or something, then I would please be
noted. So far there doesn't seem to be anything of that kind in particular. All right, fair enough. Celtic, once you leave them, you can see that Urash and River are now back inside the room. Also, Greta is standing there, kind of looking a little bit at Pao Ming and a little bit over sort of the room in general.
What's the sort of bar situation here? Is it like a drinks on trays, help yourself, walking around the room kind of deal, or is it just like buy from the bar?
It is more of that. It is more of the drinks on trays type of thing, yes.
Keep them drunk, keep them gambling.
Upscale,
Classic.
yep. Mm-hmm.
So I take a couple of glasses and head over to Lord Roaringhorn and present him with a glass. My lord.
I thankfully accept. Thank you very much, back. How's your afternoon going?
As I take a sip I say into my glass, that guy I was just talking to is watching you.
I just nod a bit.
There's another one. Female, similar build.
I try and say quietly, whilst also daintily sipping champagne or whatever this drink is, as an orchestrat, that I got a bit of a funny feeling about Nesto. I think he might be hiding something from us.
He's a harper. Most stuff are hidden from him.
Well,
I joined the group, so when I see like Celtic moving over, I move with him.
Okay. So I wonder if you get there in time, Greta, to hear the Harper comment.
Well, it's always the humans, isn't it?
Yeah. They need the rest of us around to help them look good.
So, what was the guy you were talking to?
His name's Fans. He's been here a couple of hours, and he took very special interest when Urash left the building towards the blunt end of the ship.
That guy is also a human, right?
He appears to be, yes.
He appeared to be. And there was a woman, also dark-haired, I actually didn't see what table she was in, but I just sort of indicate back behind me with just like a...
Mm-hmm. They're actually at opposite corners, Celtic. So there's one that's here, that was the man that you were talking to, and then the woman is over here.
Okay. So in the opposite corner, both very discreet, I might add. Very, very slick. practically didn't notice it myself, but let's just say they weren't paying attention to the game when Urash made his exit. And yeah, no one seriously gambling would take their eyes off the table.
Lord Roaring Horn has made some enemies here.
Possibly. You're certainly drawing attention, my lord. I feel I should advise the party that we aren't armed at this point.
Indeed.
Kind of.
I'm just like,
All right.
Look at my hands. I'm just like,
Yes. Okay, fine. We have Dragon Lady, Fireball Lady, and Human Battering Ram. I'm not armed then, and I'm not comfortable with this.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't think how we could get you an arm on here.
No, it'd be very noticeable. Unfortunately, I don't think my sharp wits will do the trick.
I think between us, we can either distract people long enough to leave, hence why I'm stood near the door. One of the many small and large doors of the ship.
I mean, fires are very distracting.
Fires are very distracting. Or, more importantly, when we speak to Lord Dryland, there are certain methods of making people give information without having a weapon on you. Isn't that right, Greta?
Yes, of course. I can do a zone of truth, and then we can
That's
ask
the one.
politely.
I'm glad you said that, because I don't think setting you on fire would have been the solution.
I just
My
broke it.
goodness, no, of course not. We
Plus
ask
there's
politely and do
those
a
two.
zone of truth. So,
And
I look at Celsius
trust
and I'm
the squid
like,
guy.
this
Seriously,
goes
that guy's
sideways, you
good.
take Greta out of the room, okay?
God,
Like it is. We will get this chaotic good. We will get this information one way.
it's not Lord Dryland that concerns me. It's his security head.
I'm
Yes, I
kind of
talked
hoping
to
we can
her.
get in and out before anything bad goes down.
I don't think she has a high opinion of Lord Dryland, and might want to go further in life than she currently is.
So she's a mercenary.
Yes, well, she doesn't have to stay that way.
Yeah.
Also, what I
No.
learned from Celtic is being paid for work is not a bad thing.
No, exactly, but no honor and lineage there. No.
Depends
no
on the work.
Well, I think I was pretty blunt when talking to her and finding out how she stands towards Lord Dryland, and she did not feel like she needed to report it to him because she stayed down here the whole time. So maybe we should go up now and see whether he is somebody who just acts dumb or is really maybe he is kind of a what is it, a buffoon? Was that the word?
A fop.
Oh, that was the word. It was something with
That's the word.
I remember it was something with but it wasn't buffoon, it was fop.
Yeah, there's a few words you could use like that, but none are family friendly. Yeah, fop. So he's a bit foppish.
Yeah.
I reckon we go ask him a few questions.
But the thing is, what
Maybe-
do we want to ask him? Like, do you recognize this coin?
Why did we find this coin in a specific place? Like next to a dead giant queen?
That's assuming a lot. I mean, any one of the people on the floor here could have been there.
It's true. But he does run the place. So maybe, I'm really, really surprised if he doesn't have some information that we can't shake out of him. Like, who may have been bragging about assassinating a giant recently? Who may have a beef with the giants? Who potentially has the ability to be, who's going to take on some wet work and sort of go killing for money, that sort of thing.
Well, if he really
Maybe less
is,
on the nose.
I'm very
he-
direct.
if he really is a fop,
Yeah.
maybe somebody is trying to frame him. And so maybe we should try to warn him of that danger.
Well, we said that last time, didn't we? Like, if we present him with the evidence and it turns sour, then it turns sour. But then we kind of know that he's involved. But if we present him with the evidence and he's like, "Oh, I had no idea. This must be Backstab Bill or something like that," then we know who to go for next.
Okay, I say we just go for it and see how it goes. And I mean,
I think it's one of two ways: really, really well, or really, really not well.
yep. a serious dystopia. I fear his security lady far more than I fear him. She
Yes,
looks
very true.
seriously dangerous. So I really hope we can somehow leave her out of this.
From the look of it, she looks like a consummate professional. So I think that even if things were to go south, maybe, let's say Lord Dryland accidentally came to an untimely end during our meeting for one reason or another. Maybe he attacks us, maybe he slips, maybe he falls on his own knife and gets his head kicked in. I don't know. Anything could happen in a scuffle. But, maybe then his head of security is just like, well, I've got no boss. I'm off. If there's no loyalty there.
I think she's not one I'm off. I think she is more like I take over.
Well, even better, right?
And these are the people what done him in.
Maybe he gets strangled by his octopus. That would be a very fitting end.
That would be hilarious. Maybe we could
I
strangle
mean,
him.
you talk about him being set up. Have you considered the fact we're being set up?
Yes. Every time we
all
do
time.
anything.
Yes. The whole time, actually. And,
Every day.
and if I ever find out that it's the Harpers, I'm gonna hunt them down. Even the dragon one.
Yep.
So yes, I'm in a real mood to go to Lord Dryland.
I say we do this very direct and not like super like just bust in and like break his nose direct, but like, we try and convince him to give us as much information as he can about this situation, because one of the coins from this establishment, and this is a reasonably exclusive establishment as we've already figured out, although we are on here, but we are exclusive people, that one of these coins was found at the site of a particularly high profile murder. CSI Faerun.
I'm quickly reading up on how Zone of Truth actually works, whether he knows it or not.
I think they are aware of it.
Yeah, there's a save that's...
Yep, an affected creature is aware of the spell.
Right. It just got used in another one of my campaigns, so people were talking about this.
I could approach it the way the city guard in my last place of residence approach things. Basically, they lock you in a room and then they just yell, "We know it was you what done it, now tell us what you did now."
Oh.
The Waterdeep approach.
Oh, okay.
The Waterdeep constabulary, hard at work.
Well, let's try it with like polite questioning first, okay?
Yes.
You can be direct and polite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think like it's not like we're there just to play the part. Like we need to know this information in order to find out what happened to. Oh, I've forgotten the giant queen's name. Nira.
I think I keep getting them mixed up with Narissa. I believe it's might be Nye. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find down. Queen Neri. It is Neri. Neri.
Neri.
Yeah.
I remember the name. Me.
Well done.
It was impressive. It was impressive. It was impressive. Okay, so you're making your way up the stairs then to Lord Dryland, if I understand this correctly. Is that what you're doing?
I think so, yeah. I think we've come to an agreement, haven't we? And River has said in chat that she's going to be following us with just chewing a loaf of bread, just trying to sober up.
Okay. So you make your way up the stairs, and for this, I'm going to be giving us a different map, or a different part of the map, I guess would be a better way to put it.
Really
so let me just make sure that I have us in the right spot. I think. Yes, success. Tremendous work by me.
Welcome to the Manticore deck.
Tremendous work by me. So just as a reminder, please ignore the numbers. My apologies. But otherwise, these stairs, which are a set of spiral stairs, leads up to this room, which, as you walk in, this is a sort of smoky, dimly lit cabin. And you can see over here, all of you, that there is a wooden stage where at the moment there are several people, one with a lute and one with a flute, who are playing with some people at tables watching and occasionally clapping. This is the source, apparently, of the music that's been drifting downstairs into the casino proper. And so you can see that they're there. There are a few people at tables watching, as I say, and applauding. But otherwise, there is several doors here. There's one that leads out here and one that leads out here. and those are the two obvious places that you see out there. So that's what you've got. You don't yet know. There's no one who's like stops you or accosts you or anything yet. So you're just here in this place.
Told us where his cabin is, wasn't he? Like third door or something.
Yes. So if you were to go upstairs, he said that it would be the actually the second door down on the right. So you would leave and then you would go up, and then the second door down on the right. Somewhere up here, presumably, is where he would be.
Well, wait, have we ascended the stairs? Sorry.
Yeah, you have. You were standing right at the top of the stairs when I described this place. So
I'll walk in this direction reasonably slowly. It's like if there's no one here, like at all.
there are people. There are people. A couple of people on the stage, and there's a couple of people at tables watching them.
Right. Okay, so this is it's a separate area rather than it being like staff owned. Like it's not like Hitman-esque, just to jump out of character for a second, like you're being detected, like you're in a restricted zone.
Right, although I will say that actually it's funny you mentioned that, because right above the doorway, above that little curtain, is a bronze plaque, and it says "Crew Only."
Oh, good.
For what that's worth.
Supposed to be here.
I'll walk through it.
I think this is more a rule than a law.
I'll pull back the curtain.
Is there a difference on a ship?
Pull back the curtain.
Okay. When
We
you
were
pull back
invited
the
to his
curtain,
cabin. We can't
Absolutely.
go there.
Also, I don't read common that well.
I can read common. It says crew only, so this must be the right way.
No, boy broken that rule.
okay. So this has 3 doors that you can see.
Is there anybody who looks like they work? Excuse me. Is there anybody who looks like they work here, stood near us?
Not at the moment, other than theoretically, I guess, the musicians on the stage.
Yeah.
Who, as you're standing there, one of them, who's the one playing the flute, is starting to look over at you, like.
Yeah, I completely ignore them.
It's a bard.
Yeah. I've
They hit a
little
couple of power chords.
musicians. Urosh has no time for musicians. It's fine.
So that's what you see. There are a set of doors up here too that you can see. There's a door that is here to the left, one here, and then there's another curtain at the end of the hall.
And did he say it would be second on the right?
I think he said I think he said first on the right when you leave, and so he might have meant through the other door that didn't say crew only.
Okay,
What?
now I'm confused.
What? We want to
That's
get to the
so
cabin. He
confusing.
told us where it is.
Yeah. So rewind a second.
Sure.
Did he say pointy end or blunt end?
He said, so once you get up the stairs, he said that when you leave the room that you emerge in, it will be the second, as you exit, it'll be the, let me actually double check. First door on the right,
Okay.
when you exit. So there are no doors to the right in this hallway, just windows.
Oh, okay. So when we leave this room, so there are no doors in this room at all. They're just windows.
There are doors, but they're on the left, not on the right. Door, and door. And in this room where you are, this original room that you just arrived in, there are 2 doors. There's one here, and
Yep.
there's one here.
Okay, then in that case, we take the other door.
Yes.
Okay, like this way. Like this, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like this way.
So, when you go down here, let me make sure that I wasn't confused by windows. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Very small door.
That is why I was confused, because I did tell him the other way. It was on the left, not on the right. Because the thing is, these are actually windows, not doors that you're looking at right here. So it's the other side. I apologize unreservedly for any
I
confusion.
love the fact that this guy has given us explicit directions.
I know. Well, I forgot it because I got
have
confused
no
with the same thing
idea.
you all did because the windows. No, it's up here. It's first on the left, not on the right. I'm sorry. I thought that this
We're
was a door.
confused by all this boat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad. I thought that this was a door, not a window. So my apologies.
Okay.
I watched the boy just walk past him and say, "What?"
My fault. Sorry.
What? So wait.
So there is a door right here.
Where are we going?
There are three doors. There's a door here, and
Right.
here, and
Yep.
here.
Right. Okay. So theoretically, his cabin is going to be here, right?
Second door, right?
No, wait,
Second-
I said first. I
First?
changed that up
First?
first, not
Right.
second.
Okay, the first door.
Now, first on
So
the
we got
right,
it.
or first on the
We
left.
did it.
And is that your right or my right or his right?
That's exactly. Who's on
We're
first?
just-
Who's on
We're
second?
about to get screamed at by a performer in a towel, aren't we?
That's
Okay,
it.
so you knock on the door.
I'm knocking on this door. I don't care anymore. Is it, well, firstly, is it a door or a small window?
It is a door.
Right. I know.
It is a door. It is a door.
Dunk, dunk, dunk.
Okay. There is a
Oh
pause.
wait, this is a window.
There is a pause, and then
Smash.
there's a pause, and then oh yes, yes. Well, you can make your way in, please.
And who do I recognize the voice?
Yes, it sounds like the voice of Lord Dryland.
Thank Christ. Right, walk in.
Okay. It's not though. It's actually no. I'm just kidding.
It's
Yeah, sorry
Elvis.
about that. I got confused by the windows and doors, just like you folks did. Okay.
You got confused. I thought the entire room downstairs was nothing but doors.
I know. I was confused. Sorry.
It's like,
So
architecturally speaking, this place is very confusing.
it's like really no. That's why I was looking at it. I'm like, wait, that can't be right. Like literally, you can see there's a slight difference between white and brown, and like that's the big difference on the main map. Okay. So when you walk in, you can see what I think can only be described, Selsig, as a testament to not bad, terrible taste. This room has purple velvet curtains. There are scented candles and these gaudy candelabras. And in the middle of the room is a table with a large aquarium tank resting atop it. The aquarium has this big, what looks like a coral reef, like a mini, I say big for the size of the aquarium, but overall mini coral reef within it. And you can see sort of resting on top of it, its tentacles floating gently in the water, is Dryland's octopus. Or at least you think so, because Dryland himself is standing nearby it back here. He has a glass of something, presumably wine, in his hand. And he smiles as you come in. He says, "Oh, yes, yes. Please come in."
We come in. I come in.
So, and he says, "Please, there are several chairs that you can sit down, and we can sit and discuss things more rationally." And he indicates a few chairs that are gathered around the room. Again, all these chairs are also upholstered in that same, like, gaudy, like, crazy royal purple, like just, really... I don't know how to describe how bad. Like Madame Tussauds Wax Museum meets Great Expectations or something. It's just really bad. And he says, here, he like points at a couple of these chairs, and he says, "May I interest you in some wine?"
No, thank you.
Don't say no.
I prefer to stand, please.
Very well, as you like. And
Awesome one.
he takes a sip of wine. Let me get rid of palming there. He takes a sip of wine, and he says, "Yes, well, I am been interested to watch you, Lord Roaringhorn, I believe it is, and the rest of your friends. It appears that you are all occupied here and some enjoyable experience. I hope you've enjoyed the pleasures of the of my grande dame so far."
It's been a genuinely fulfilling experience. I've honestly never seen anything like it, and I think my entourage will agree with that.
There's a lot of windows.
He says, "Yes, they're sometimes confusing for new people. Windows, doors, the differences between them are sometimes quite stark. Not stark enough, I should say, but in any case." And he sort of goes over and he kind of looks down at the octopus in the tank and then looks up at you and says, "So, I understand that you came here because of your interest in my casino ship and, of course, to gamble. But it strikes me that all of you are not, well," and he sort of pauses and then kind of looks up with one eyebrow raised, "not all, perhaps, exactly what it is that you seem."
With this, I am stood in front of the door at the moment. Presumably we have shut the door when we came in.
I would assume.
Good. I'm not moving from the doorway.
There are reasons that we're seeking this audience with you. Lord Dryland, we come with a pressing matter.
And he says, really? Well, what is this pressing matter, dear lady?
It is one for which we are searching the truth. And so we need to make sure that the truth is spoken in this room.
Truth! Truth is a very difficult thing. Sometimes one person's truth is another person's falsehood. One can never be too certain of what truth really means. We live in non-objective times.
Oh, I can completely help with that. And I cast Zone of Truth, and I try to cast that it's not the whole room, but like the half of the room where Lord Dryland and his octopus is, in case that thing starts to speak.
Okay.
And not the half where Celsic is, and and other people who might feel bothered by this.
All right, let's take a look at. I'll take a look at Zone of Truth.
I think I can put it somewhere. I can put it
To
in the
let you
room.
know, I would have no problem with Zone of Truth. My autocratic nature, it absolutely would have absolutely no problem with Zone of Truth. I speak my mind freely anyway.
Let's see. So, creature that enters the spell's area starts the turn as make a charisma saving throw on a failed save. Let's see. Okay, so you cast this, and let's see what he's going to do first of all. And you know whether each creature succeeds or fails. Okay. All right.
I totally want to know whether the octopus rolls, please.
The octopus does not seem to make its own special roll.
Okay.
From what you can tell. So, what is the difficulty? What's the DC that he has to beat for this saving throw? What is your spell DC?
My spell DC 14.
Okay. So, when he makes this first one, you know that he makes the saving throw the first time around. And he says, "It seems like a quite hostile activity to engage one in attempting to force them to tell some sort of truth. And I am frankly somewhat troubled that you would do this. My understanding was that you were guests aboard my ship, not that you would insist upon requirements for things to be."
This is the thing of a grave nature, and I don't see why you would be so opposed to truth on a totally legal, established gambling ship.
And
So we have something to show you. Celsic, would you please do the thing?
I pull out a handful of gambling chips and start sorting through them. Hang on, it's here somewhere.
like this, like 5X.
Not that one. Nope.
This is for that thing in the mall. Like,
baggage reclaim, where'd that come from? Pull out the right one.
Oh man, it's one of the funniest things I ever saw for this, which just had this effect on me as a kid, was watching, I think it was The Great Muppet Caper, where, as I said, I was little, but for some reason I found really funny. They were showing two groups, and they had like the thieves, and they're all like, laser sights and like, conductive, armor and all this stuff, high tech stuff. And then like the Muppets are like clown shoes, like whoopee cushion, all this stuff, rubber nose. For some reason, as a kid, that has always stayed with me, and I found it hilariously funny. Anyway, so you go through all this stuff, and you pull out finally the coin. And he looks at it and he says, "Yes, well, that's one of our gambling coins. What of it?"
I try to really look at him to see what his reaction is. It was found at the place of a murder. The murder of Giant Queen Neri.
And his eyes sort of narrow a bit. Make an insight check for me, please, because we're still working off of the succeeded saving throw, so... Wow.
20. Natural 20.
Wow.
What is this guy about?
You see all things. He's like, well, it started with a bad childhood.
He's three octopuses stuck together.
He's an octopus
yes.
king.
Octodad.
He's Octodad. Oh, man. So he, you can tell that he is being evasive for sure, Greta, because he says, He says, it's one of our gambling chips. There are plenty of such of these around. I don't know what it was doing there, but there's no crime for people to be carrying around one of my gambling coins. This seems like a bunch of straight BS, by the way. Like, I mean, at least it seems very much like there's details that are being left out.
Okay, I wouldn't have needed the spell for this. I look back to Salsik and Urash. He's not being upfront.
Well, no, he wouldn't be.
Well,
I'm
no.
not always strictly honest either.
Well,
We're not gonna discuss this now, okay?
I'd want to hide it too if I murdered a giant queen and was on the run.
So, why did you murder the giant queen?
Yeah, why did you murder the giant queen?
Murder the giant queen? What nonsense!
That's the only conclusion we can come up to. You murdered the giant queen. You're trying to cover it up. You dropped this when you left the scene.
Or someone wants us to think you did.
Or you hired somebody and you know you did.
At which point we have no possible alternative other than to our companion that's on the shore knows where we are, and they're going to inform the current reigning
Queen's daughter
princess, whose name temporarily escapes me.
Fluffball.
Please fill in exposition. That you are
Narissa.
Narissa.
You're gonna run tonight. It's Narissa.
Of this skullduggery, and we'll just let the giants take the course.
So he sort of pauses and then sort of, you have a very active mind, Lord Roaringhorn. Exactly who is it that all of you actually are? It's obviously not people interested in casino travel as the entourage of this gentleman here.
I happen to have a very keen interest in casinos, thank you very much.
His eyes kind of flicker over to you, but barely acknowledging you, Selsig, just kind of
I am actually interested in buffets.
That is true. That was never a lie. And
I constantly try to advise people spiritually.
yes, absolutely. So we are being reasonably upfront.
We're here to find the murder of Queen Neri, very obviously, and bring them to justice. Although he's not playing with us any longer, we mean the concept of justice.
It's like, I've heard of this justice. So he says, with all respect, I have no ill will towards giants in particular. I'm sorry to hear of any of them being killed, though frankly, given what we're all been dealing with the giants of late, I can't imagine why you would feel particularly sad about her removal. But that said, that is beyond me. I am but a simple casino ship owner. I am not involved in murder. It's absurd to claim that I am. I'm far too busy running things here to be gallivanting off to wherever I was supposed to have gone to do this.
Surely a man such as yourself has contacts and information about their exclusive club members.
I do. I have contacts, quite a few of them, but they are not contacts that are involved in the killing of others. I don't want that kind of attention paid, for one thing. It's not the kind of person I am.
So either this is maybe a simplistic view of things. You are trying to cover this up yourself. Being the proprietor of this establishment, you're either trying to cover up for a friend or a patron who is quite lucrative for you, or someone's setting you up. They've placed this coin at this murder site, and you're going to take the fall.
Nobody set him up. He was lying.
And do you say that, Greta?
Yes, I say that.
So he sort of looks over at you, and he says, "That's the second time you've accused me, madam. And despite this attempt to provide some sort of spell to force me to speak whatever narrative fits you best, I must protest in the highest possible terms your use of it. Moreover, people who threaten me on this ship do not usually end up well. You are not in your own ground here. I invited you here for a pleasant discussion to my cabin, but I am, of course, have plenty of defenses, and I do not expect that any of you would want to continue an interrogation of your host." And he kind of reaches down into the tank, and the octopus kind of spirals up onto his arm and then puts sort of onto his shoulder.
I'm not a
So what
vampire. It
should
doesn't
the
matter whether
discussion
you invited me.
Had in
Could
mind.
we maybe do it my way now?
I'm not a vampire. It doesn't matter whether you invited me. And I have not threatened you. I do not threaten people. I just told you that you're a liar.
And he says, "It seems that we are at something of an impasse, madam. You claim that I am a liar. I say I am not. You say you are individuals that are associated with this Lord Roaringhorn. I know that you are something more than that. And yet, each of us, it seems, has our secrets to hold from the other. There is perhaps nothing else to be discussed." And he kind of turns around with his back to you.
No, friend, what I am is the man who's going to push his fist so far down your throat that he's going to be feeling something very uncomfortable if you don't give us the damn information that we need.
So he turns around. "You're
It
not..."
was a threat.
That was a threat.
That was a definite threat.
Just so we know, that was a threat.
Repeat it and use extra expletives if necessary.
He says, "You're not going to get off this ship alive, you realize that?"
Then that's fine. Neither are you.
Which ship?
I've died before. Have you?
And he kind of,
I have. I've done it.
he sort of like lifts his head.
I take at least a couple of steps closer to him.
Make an intimidation check for me, please.
With pleasure.
Hello,
Seriously,
Octopet.
really don't like this guy. Intimidation. Please be. 14.
Okay, let's see how he does with that. Okay, so he sort of looks at you, and then this is highly irregular, and you're threatening me in my own cabin. You're threatening me in my own room, and and he sort of like, you know, kind of, all of you will be able to see that I am certainly behaving in an above-board fashion. You're threatening me here on my own ship. Make a perception check for me, please. I guess everybody, because you're all looking at him. Okay. So we've got, let's see, is that from just now, Selsig?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. 20.
So 20, 15, 18, and then River, what about you? River is just, I assume you're just looking at the octopus. Wow.
Octopus
That
was
is super
distracted
cool.
by the hideous decor.
No, I'm definitely trying to figure out how we can kill Roaringhorn but save the octopus. Like,
How do we
that's what I'm
save
trying
that?
to figure out.
And so he looks at that. You're looking at him, but the others, you notice that he keeps sort of looking over his shoulder at the window. Just
Is
taking
the
little.
window, as an observation, is the window openable?
Yes.
Okay. Who's nearest to him?
That to him.
To him.
Greta.
Greta. Did Greta notice this?
Yes, I would say that anyone of the 15 or above. So yes, I would say that Selsa, Greta, and Orash saw this.
I try and make a head motion to Greta. I try and catch her eye, and then glance over at the window.
Make a perception check for me, Greta. Let's see if you catch the eye.
Come on, go on, Greta. You can do this.
Ooh,
Oh yeah, you see him like in slow mo. You know, like
There's a dotted line going from my eye to the window.
again, like you see like the moving
Yeah.
arms.
I then motion to Selsig. I'm trying to make him like check the window, like, but not saying it. But like
Oh,
motioning.
okay.
Saber, you
stuffy
make a
in
perception check. Greta knows.
Airplane.
Yeah,
I'm
look
so
at that.
good at this.
So you also see that. You're
Just
like, what?
keep
what?
them
what?
coming,
what?
keep
What
them
are-
coming until you're fed up. Come on.
Okay. Saber, when you go over so wait, are you going over to the window? Sorry. Are you
I
just-
am,
okay.
yes.
So you go over to the window, and he looks at you like, "What are you doing?"
That's a bit stuffy. We need to clear the air, I think.
So when you open the shutters, because they were closed but not locked, when you open the shutters, you feel the breeze of the outside, you know, as the river floats by in the darkness. but you also can, as you can sort of look outside, and you don't see or hear anyone, but you think that there might have been someone right before, because looking down, you can see that there is some spray that is, lashed up from the water there, and you can see there's a lot of water on the deck in that area, except in two places where there were two obvious boot prints or footsteps or something of someone standing in that spot.
Mm.
And so Dryland says, "Look, I must protest here. This is unnecessary treatment. There is no reason to call me this."
No, Dryland. This is not unnecessary treatment. Listen, if you want my friends to leave the room, then I can show you unnecessary treatment. We are getting this information one way or another. We can all tell, even myself, that you are deeply involved in this conspiracy and deeply involved in the actions that have taken their toll on the world. Now, all we want to do is find out who is responsible and put an end to the evil that is growing in the heart of this nation. That's all we want to do. And right now, you're in our way, mate.
And my dog needs feeding.
Oh,
And
there's the dog.
so he sort of like, he kind of shakes his head and he says, there's no reason to bring, this is outrageous, and
Outrageous. Rage. You want to see rage? Count to 10 and I'll show you a rage.
his
before
octopus
we get
like
to
is
him-
shrinking back on his shoulder from you.
I'm looking from
So-
behind him just at Greta going, "This is your fault."
So, just there are two possibilities. Either you personally have a reason to kill Queen Neri, or somebody hired you to do it. So which one is it?
He
And
says,
if somebody hired you, tell us who, and we can go. We can just go and leave you alone.
no one was hired exactly. Well, it's like
Quicker.
blip blop blip blop,
No, quicker. Use your words.
I stick my head out on the deck again.
Okay. It still seems like there's no one that's nearby that you can obviously tell, although you can only look out so far, obviously. So.
Super quick question.
Sure.
Does the door have a latch on the inside of this room? Do they have like a lock?
There is a latch, yes.
There is a latch. I walk over and lock the door.
Okay. And so he kind of looks around at all of you. He says, "This is really you. This is," and he sort of.
We're not in the business of roughing people up, generally speaking, and especially when they don't deserve it. Now, you might be a scumbag. I don't really know. Frankly, I don't care. All I do care is the fact that someone we know is dead, and you have information about that. So the choice is simple.
Whatever person is frightening you, they are not here now. We are.
He says. He looks at you, and for the first time, he kind of drops a little bit of the, put upon noble veneer, and he looks at you and says, "That's where you're wrong, because they are always here. He is always here with us."
Is it a dragon?
The damn octopus.
A dragon. If only. And you can see that his eyes have gotten somewhat wide, and he's kind of looking around himself a little bit, like just.
Has he made eye contact with the octopus?
No,
Okay.
but the octopus is on his shoulder, so he'd have to be like, if you were
I
going to
know,
do that.
but if he was more like,
No, he doesn't seem to be looking at the. No, he doesn't seem to be looking at the octopus specifically. No.
Dad, the quicker you tell us this, the quicker we leave, and the quicker you can go back to your normal life.
The quicker I'll be killed, don't you understand? It's not easy to say these things, certainly not openly. And
Is it your head of security?
no, Pao Ming, no.
Oh.
She's, I don't think so. Well, maybe, I suppose.
All of a sudden, it's like you see him reacting like he'd never thought about that before, which probably means that's not the case.
I've made it
and
worse.
he's like, so he says,
Exactly.
He says, it's this society. You don't want to mess with them.
The society of.
Not the society of you. And he sort of stops. The Kraken Society.
and he sort of sighs as he's looking down.
hired you to kill Queen Neri?
No,
I'm just like, who?
No.
It's and you can see he kind of like winces, like he's just, you know, in pain that he's revealing all of this or something, kind of puts a hand to his head, and he says, I am a member of the Kraken Society. His voice drops. It's a society of people who wish to advance themselves in the Sword Coast and the Savage Frontier. You've heard of the Harpers? Well, the Kraken Society is a version of that, I suppose.
Are they recruiting?
He says, well, perhaps, but generally they'll tell you if they need you, not the other way around.
Yeah, like the Harpers.
He nods and he says, the point is you don't leave them, and you don't cross them, do you understand?
Like that group we met, the Black Network, the Zentarim.
The Zentarim are pitiful little fleas before the might of the Kraken Society.
Oh, every society says that.
They have a network through the entire North. They are one to rival the Harpers, and the difference is, unlike the Harpers, they're not bound by typical moral strictures. They do what is necessary to advance the ambitions, and then he realizes he's getting a little loud, the ambitions of their members. You can just faintly hear through the wall to the south the music continuing to play, by the way, drifting from the stage next door.
So, the Kraken
One
Society...
of the members thinks they are advancing themselves if Queen Neri was out of the way?
I don't know all of the details. They had a plan to see if they could dominate the North. And to do that, they made a bargain. A bargain with someone who wished for the Queen to be slain, and for the Giants to be thrown into disruption. So the Kraken Society did what they were told. They agreed to it. But the fool that made a pact with the Kraken Society are the ones in error. For they will pay a price. And again, his head sort of winces and he reaches to the back of his head this time.
What's the matter with your head?
No,
It's
was
nothing.
it a
It's
blue dragon?
nothing at all. It's just a temporary ache. And he kind of looks back at you and he says, the bigger concern is your awareness of this will mean your undoing. Already the Kraken Society knows who and what you are, and they will bring you down. They will drown you eventually.
Well, that would be a change. But still, the person... Was there somewhere a blue dragon involved in all of this?
And he kind of looks over.
Anybody remember her name?
Imrith.
Imrith.
I heard that there was a blue dragon somewhere, but that is not my area. I was simply told to continue to expand the network as I could in Yartar and elsewhere, and to provide a common meeting place. With time, I will eventually become a water baron myself, leave Yartar behind, become one of the elite of Waterdeep, and that would be just the beginning. But first, I needed to do what I was told. You don't say no to the Kraken Society. He holds his head again.
So, what do you know of King Hecaton?
He's alive. Alive. And a prisoner.
Where?
He looks at you and he's like, you cannot ask me that question.
I misclicked.
How dare you misclick?
Let me help you. I'll put a death ward on him.
I'm standing behind him. Do I see anything wrong with the back of his head?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he does have like a kind of a skull cap type of thing on, but...
What does Deathward do?
I'll put it in chat in
Okay.
there.
You touch a creature and grant it a measure of protection from death. The first time the target will drop to 0 hit points. As a result of taking damage, the target instead drops to 1 hit point and the spell ends. Oh, okay. So it's like Second Wind or like that thing I've got.
He says...
There's something wrong. Would you allow me to put a spell of protection on you?
He says, it won't make a difference what you do.
And he kind of turns back and he says, Hekaton is a prisoner aboard the Morkoth. It's a boat. It sails around the northern islands of the trackless sea, built like the great Lord Kraken Slackrathel himself. Slackrathel, I abandon myself to your... Ah! And then he suddenly gives this horrified shriek. Blood comes out of his nose, and he falls over and face plants.
Time to go.
No, Death Ward! Death Ward!
Didn't cast it yet.
Oh, shoot.
That...
That's the octopus.
At the same moment, there is a on the door.
I put
climb out the window.
I put Revivify on him.
Okay, let's take a look at Revivify and see if that can happen. Translate with one. Let's see.
Well, if the brain is missing, it won't work. Okay, but still.
No, what I'm wondering about is because this damage was psychic damage. So what I'm wondering is if you bring him back, what are you bringing back?
Well, he was a foot before. How much worse can it be?
Zombie.
So okay, you do this. You bring him back, and he sort of like he kind of stirs, and then.
Okay, let's put him on a chair or something before we flee.
And like maybe wipe the blood off his face.
Come on, that's
His
okay.
octopus is like flailing around his head.
Okay, let's put him on a chair and then we jump out of the window. Come on.
This weekend at Bernie's.
Again comes the knocking, and now there's a as the door shutters.
I make sure to grab the octopus.
Leave. Go.
No. You
That might affect his brain.
We gotta leave. We gotta go.
I think, so here's the thing with these windows. With all respect to all of your agility, I think that you can get Celsig out of there. There is not a chance on God's green earth you're going to get the Dragonborn, and certainly not the orc out of there. So I think that, that you're...
How thick
Well
is
then.
it?
It's,
Like the wood.
I mean, oh gosh, it's probably like...
Oh, it's a porthole.
It's
Oh.
no, it's basically like
It's a vision window.
yeah. I mean, it's
I
big
thought
enough
it
that's it is bigger than a normal porthole, so Celsig can probably get through, but it's a tight
Right,
squeeze
but
even for him.
if it's not very thick, I have ice breath, so if I could ice it and then we could like make it brittle to pound through it.
Oh yeah, but the issue is the fact that the opening in the wall is not big enough. Like I don't think your ice breath is going to make the wall brittle enough to break through.
Okay.
It's
that's
not so
what I
much that. Like I mean, it's not like roof grass or whatever.
Yeah.
Celsig lands on the other side, and you hear this pounding, and then
Celtic
all right,
would
make it
understand
happen.
us.
And then there's another shuddering sound on the door, and you also hear the scrambling sound of basically footsteps coming from the south, maybe up the stairs. Celsig.
I look through and I'm like, come on!
I need quick decisions here. So you're gonna say, come on.
I'm gonna give him a chance.
They're sort of like staring at you through a hole that is clearly too small for them to make it out.
Does
It was like this one we
River's ice breath create ice, or is it just like cold? Does she need water to create ice?
No, it creates ice.
Okay.
But if it won't make the opening brittle enough to even squeeze through, then it wouldn't matter.
Then it could still make the floor in front of the door slippery.
It could at that. That's true. What do you want me to just like lay down and blow underneath the door?
Yes.
Okay, I do that.
All right. So River lies down on the ground, like like this.
Yeah.
Seeing this, Celsig starts making his way to the sharp bit of the ship.
The sharp
Just like,
bit.
Well, gotta find another pie.
Okay. So Celsig makes his way up to the aptly named sharp bit. While doing so, the door. There's another shuddering slam against the door, and the inside of the door cracks a little bit. And so River, you lean down and then do your breath out into the door,
Yeah.
and there is this and then and there's sort of a little bit of slipping, and then you hear, because you're down there, River, you hear through the door.
Snake Lady's here. Snake Lady's here. Snake with the dress is here.
I reckon there's no way out of this room. And he was just like this when we got here. We've tried to have a civil conversation with him. Something seems to have happened. He took a blow to the head, and now we're not quite sure what's going on.
I shout toward the door, Pao Ming.
And there's silence.
Apparently, the master got to your boss. You could see that as a promotion or not.
And you hear, open this door now.
You can,
Only to her.
of course.
Only to Palming. Only let Palming in.
Okay, let's open the door.
So when you open the door, you see the sight of Pao Ming, who is indeed standing there, and her eyes are flashing, but more importantly, her snakes are flashing. The 2 green snakes on the shoulders are now like around her like this. And you can see that there are several of the people from downstairs, one of whom is the guards that Selsig pointed out to you, who is standing there, and they're holding what looks like a small little, essentially like a battering ram, but it's like one of those deals that the police would use to knock down a door, right, in modern times. They have something like that as well. And there are big cracks on the outside of the door where they've hit it already. And they're sort of standing back a little bit. And her snakes are there, and she says, her eyes flicker over to Dryland, who's just sort of lolling on the chair.
I
And
try
she
to
says,
save him.
I'll be the one that kind of opens the door, and to Palming, I would just be like, "Whoa, come on, quickly! Why are you here? There's no time to waste." And I sort of usher her through.
and she sort of, she says to the others, guard this door. And they like fall into line. There's at least 4 of them that you can see, although they're kind of standing uncomfortably on top of the icy frozen floor that, River sort of puts. They're kind of standing, trying not to slip. But there are 4 or 5 of them though, and they all look to be pretty well armed and armored. And so Pao Ming comes in to the room. Her snakes are still hissing. Her eyes flashing a sort of bright green. You get the impression, Rash, that she is not intimidated whatsoever, just to be clear.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I wasn't going to try to.
She moves over and she's like, you have 30 seconds to explain why he is here. And she kind of points to him, and he's still like, whoa.
He confessed to a heinous crime, so and then his head more or less exploded or something, because apparently his master, what was this? He said the name, Cesarov or something, apparently got to him because he broke the trust, and then I tried to revive him, and this is what happened.
Yes. Basically. So we were asking him questions. We needed some information from him. He gave us some information. He clutched his head, cried out, fell over. Ina tried to resurrect him and heal him, and he came back and kind of wasn't quite the same. But apparently there's some sort of dark master that he's serving. I'm not quite sure.
He said a name.
Yeah, I've said Rethlel. I was writing quickly, so I'm not sure if that's the actual right name or not.
Rethlel? Yeah, why not?
The name that he said was, Slark Rethel. SLARK RETHEL.
Thank you. Slark Rethel, and something about the Kraken Society. We just wanted to know about a friend of ours who was killed. That's pretty much all we wanted to know, and he gave us information, grabbed his face, fell over, and then you started banging on the door.
So she looks at you, and the snakes are still hissing, and then she steps over to him, sort of lolling, his head sort of lolling back, and she says, so what is this now? What is he? And she's just kind of staring at him.
I turn to the cleric.
I could bring his body back, but apparently his mind was destroyed. And so he is not really here. Just his body is here.
She nods slowly. So, I wondered when that time would come. She turns slowly to you. Very well then. And she snaps her fingers, and one of the snakes sinks its jaws into his throat. And he's just and falls over dead. And then the octopus, which falls to the ground, is the next quick victim of the second snake. And she folds her arms and she looks back at you and she says, I'm not surprised that foppish fool was involved with something, although I wouldn't have planned it for it to be this. And if it means that I am now in charge of the Grand Dame, then I owe you a slight measure of debt. You've made it much easier than moving myself against him. However, I don't know exactly who you are, except that your identities clearly are not the true meaning of who you are. So whatever it is that you've learned it, and I'm going to give you one opportunity to leave with that knowledge. If you speak about this to anyone, if you tell anyone what has actually happened here, you will pay the price for it. I will find you, and I will kill what's left of you whenever his great god, and she kind of jerks her head dismissively over his shoulder at the now very dead Lord Dryland, comes for you. The snakes, having finished their, in quotes, meal, slither up her kimono and back into her spot. And she says, so, I'm going to give you your opportunity to leave the ship. I hope that you are capable of swimming or have some other magical form of transportation. If we see each other again,
River's time to shine.
it will be the last time, because the next time I see you, you will be dead.
I have
that's
heard
me,
that before
everyone.
somewhere. But,
I think it's everyone want to say congratulations on your promotion. We wish you all the best luck in your future endeavors, and you will never see us again.
And she nods and slowly steps back and then says, let them go. If they're on the ship in 1 minute, kill them. And then she turns away as they just sort of, look at each other and then back up out of the way.
Just out of interest, Colin, do you think he would have had any particular useless valuables on him? Because this adventuring lark, this traveling lark, can get quite expensive.
And she sort of, she looks back at you and just stares, like just green-eyed gaze.
I'm going to take that as a no. Okay.
you know what, Palming? This day is just being a bit stressful. And, you might be able to kill me, but you also like this ship. And if you keep being on this crabby, there will be no ship left for you. And now we go.
And she says nothing, but she watches you, eyes boring into the back of your head, as they say, the gaze boring into the back of your head as you go by. And the others let you go. Now, you can go either way you want. You can go... actually, let me make sure you can go either way you want before I say that. You can go find a window that's actually a door. If you want to go outside to where Celsig is, you'd have to go
you wouldn't
south.
be having this conversation if you found a window that was actually a door.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Here, and then out there is the way you would get out to where Celsig is. In the meantime, Celsig, by the way, you have gone to, and I quote, the pointy part of the ship.
Yes.
Which is up
So
here.
have missed all of this and technically don't have to leave within the next minute.
Sure. I mean, everything's fine for you. All good times. Now, this is the upper deck. So sorry, I'm trying to cover that over. So basically, you're here, which means that you're right above here-ish. So if you were to, from here, you could leap off into the water is the point. And you can see down below, there's a couple of people who are sort of holding glasses of wine and talking to each other on the prow, which is another way of saying the sharp bit.
Yeah, so it sounds like it wasn't abandoning everyone.
No, I
but
figured.
because
I was just letting you know.
outside of the window, and they were deciding, hey, let's breathe ice under the doors and totally let people know we're in here. So I'm just like, right. A tactical withdrawal. And because you mentioned footsteps to the south, I've gone north.
Yes.
So, I guess I would, Celtic would probably loop around to here in that case.
Okay.
Then I can pretend oh, hello, I'm lost. Have you seen Lord Roaringhorn?
Yeah, it looks like actually that they haven't come out on the deck. It looks like they're inside. And indeed, as you don't know this, but as this is happening, there are several other guards. That there's now like maybe 7 or 8. Must be much of the security on the ship is now up, standing in the hallway, watching as Greta and River and Urash leave to head out of the room. So from your vantage point, Celsig, you don't see any of that. Obviously, from your vantage point, you just see like an empty, deck leading down this eastern side of the ship.
Right, okay.
I shout, Ptach!
I hear that, I assume.
Probably, yeah, I would say so.
And I think to
It's
myself,
from the other
Urash
side of the ship,
sneezes
though.
weird.
Yeah.
Urash sneezes, never miss them. So I start making my way past all these doors, looking through them all.
Okay. Looking through all the windows. The windows.
No,
that were doors.
they're doors to me. I
See,
fit.
you're looking through the window. You can now see that Greta and Urash and River are now outside. There's a bunch of people in that room, in that hallway, and they seem to be, your friends seem to be making their way through the curtain to this room right here.
Okay, I decide to, given that they aren't apparently under armed escort, tied up, or stabbed, I will make a big show of entering. There you are! Where's Lord Roaring Horn? I've been looking everywhere for you. There's doors that look like windows. These boats are confusing.
Yeah, it's just, this ship is really, really confusing in so many ways. And so damn flammable. We should leave now before it has an accident. Like now.
Like the Yak Village had.
Yes.
I
should
lead the way
leave,
back
like-
downstairs very, very quickly.
Okay,
We
so
should
you
leave,
go.
like really, really now.
I quickly head up to the chips counter because I've got some chips to exchange while we're leaving.
Okay.
Before leaving, I make sure to grab the octopus.
No! You take it's dead! Leave it!
No, it's not dead. Did it actually die?
It's
Did I
pretty
miss
dead.
that?
The snake pretty much
Oh.
eliminated the octopus. Yeah.
Seriously? Oh, I
Yes.
thought that it was fine.
I was so
Sorry.
happy that
Snake food.
Well, never mind then. I sadly and dejectedly follow everybody.
Yes, my apologies on behalf of the behalf of the snakes, but yeah. So now, when
need to
so
get
you
her a
see
pet,
Celsig,
apparently.
assuming all of you are heading downstairs. When you get downstairs, you probably have about basically, and you're followed by like 5 of the security. And by the time you get down, you can see that the room down below is hushed, and everyone is kind of staring at you. In fact, I'm going to stop the music for a minute. Everyone is sort of staring at you as you walk into the room right down here. And so, Celsig, when you are about to go over to the chip thing, you notice that everyone, including Nesto, is sort of staring at you. The guards basically are looking, and you see Urash and Greta and River are probably, you would guess you have about 20 seconds to 25 seconds left of the minute that she gave you to get off the boat.
No. No.
What?
We need
Well,
to
cash
be,
out.
Yep. We should be rather quick about, or there's gonna be a brawl and a fire.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
That's 20 seconds now.
We have to leave. We have to leave now. We have to leave now. Cash out. We have to leave
I
now.
quickly cast water breathing on the whole party.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I
24
cast, and I,
hours so you can breathe underwater.
Okay.
that's wonderful. I cast water walking on myself.
Okay. Everyone cast these things. 10
So in
seconds now.
style.
Right,
And I
cash
go
out. We have to
diving
leave.
off the edge.
Cash out. We have to leave.
Just to
Okay.
be
Let's
clear,
follow.
I just want you to know, Celsig, you're not going to be able to cash out at the same time.
I had to try.
Hey, if he doesn't cash out, then he has a reason to return, right?
That's
If he
very
cashes out,
true.
He has
Very
no
true.
reason to come back ever.
He is gonna cash out.
It's going to be, this is the new spin-off series, Celsig and the Grand Dame.
No,
that,
we
you
have time. He can cash out.
No, I've been in enough situations to know that when one of your companions decides to jump off the boat, it's time to jump off the boat.
Okay, so all of you, are you going to leap off one way or the other into the river?
Guess so.
I will leap onto the river.
Or
and
onto the
not
river in
into-
your case, that's true. And
Remember,
not you're
lifeboat
the river,
maybe?
the other the river. So when you jump in, Greta lands, of course, on top of the river.
Yes, please.
And the rest of the party sort of lands in the river.
Yeah, I just want to say, as I jump off, I just want to turn around and go, I kind of want to jump off backwards. I want to do a little bit of flair to this. I kind of want to turn around and go, always a pleasure, lads, and just fall off backwards.
I was thinking you were going to do something like, this will be the day that you almost caught, or and then you just sort of jump backwards.
You're the worst Lord I've ever heard of. You have heard of me.
And you almost caught Lord Roringhorn. Okay, so you land off the boat. You see that a lot of people actually hurry to the edges of the boat, basically to look down. They kind of hurry out of the gambling room and look down at you, including Nesto, who has this sort of combination bemused and concerned expression as the boat sails on and you drift backwards here in the river current. Okay, so you are in the middle of this river now, and so the question is, where do you want to go? Where do you want to head? I guess I should. Yeah, I guess I should bring us back to the map, Sword Coast map.
Do rivers have a short bit?
They have a sharp and a wide and a sharp and a wide.
I want to go to the land bit, the dry bit of the river.
Do we have something like a belt or a rope so I can, because I'm walking on the water, I can just pull everyone.
I imagine that you could do that.
So yeah, let's do this. I mean, that must be faster than if I walk and they swim.
Okay, so you throw the rope to everybody, basically. Yep. Okay, so
we can walk to the shore.
So there's this image of Greta holding the belt, like pulling the three of her companions.
Dragonborn,
with
the
her
barbarian, and the hobbit.
Yep, with the dwarf.
I'm riding on the orc. I don't know what everyone else is talking about.
Sorry, the wet dragonborn, wet half-orc barbarian.
And then you find yourself on the shore. And when you arrive at the shore, Selsig, you actually hear a like a whimpering.
Fluffball?
Yeah, so you turn and suddenly emerging out of it was dark by now. Emerging out of the darkness at the full run and slamming into you is Fluffball, who knocks you over onto your back and then licks you a couple of times, then steps back and regally looks off. Like, this is just what he does.
I wasn't worried. What? Good boy.
And the boat is receding in the distance.
I watch after the boat and just say to the other guy, I'm just so sick of people threatening us. I'm just so sick of it.
By now it's an occupational hazard.
You started it.
Wow. No, I started it, definitely.
No, Greta started it.
I think it might have been me.
He made the first threat. I didn't.
Did he though?
You cast the spell on him.
No, well, that wasn't a threat. Truth is a good thing.
No, I said you started it. I didn't say you threatened him.
Yeah, I didn't threaten.
I think this went swimmingly.
I throw mud at Urash.
And with that, I throw a fish that I found somewhere on the bank.
Just find a fish in your loincloth.
Yeah, I'm still wearing the suit. I'm just like, well, this is ruined. I just take off the jacket and it's like a wet tent being thrown at a hobbit.
It is not water resistant. It's true. It's definitely not water resistant. All right.
What do you just takes on water?
What do you want to do? You are now on the shore in the darkness.
Right. To figure out which way Yartar is so we can get our gear back.
Yeah, Yartar and then Neverwinter, I think. Because I still need my axe.
Yeah. We're walking.
You're walking. Come here, Fluffball.
Okay. So you get onto Fluffball's back. Do you release the Fluffball, since we've been talking a lot about Krakens today? I think.
Yes.
Release the Fluffball.
So the Fluffball just takes off type of thing. Actually, I want to say that the music is probably
yes.
But you head full speed, rip VOD as it gets muted. You head full speed towards Yartar. Now, if you're heading full speed and the others are just going to sort of walk/trudge, it's probably. Sorry, say again.
He's getting the first round in.
That's right. Probably you're going to get there, I would guess, probably Selsig. It might be by fast dog about maybe 25 to 30 minutes, I would say. For the rest of you, it's going to be more like an hour and 15. to walk the way, back down the riverbank towards Yartar.
I would like to discard half of my suit because this is waterlogged and really heavy. So, like, the top half is like weighing me down. So I'm just gonna like take that bit off.
Okay.
Is this our suit, or did we rent it or something?
It's ruined now. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. So River is back. River, we're walking back to Yata.
Thank you. The baby is still awake. I am at my wit's end.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're walking.
So-
Celsic,
Is your tour a far away thing? Because it looks like it's kind of far.
About an
yeah,
hour.
we're about an hour. Celsic road ahead.
Yeah, Celsi's gonna get
Oh.
the first drink in. He's gonna get the
It's-
food and drink in first. So
Yeah.
I'm concerned about someone selling our stuff that isn't me.
we
Yeah,
get
they
there.
might not get the best price. What
We've got
kind
this
of evil
bag
look is
full of
this?
coins and we have no stuff left. He's like, you'll never believe it. Someone sold stuff.
Someone sold your stuff miraculously. I got here before they got mine.
I hid mine easy. I hid mine much safer than you guys.
So when you make your way back, Celsig, you're going to arrive in town obviously much sooner than they will. Where are you planning to go at that point?
The tavern we had a room in, although I don't remember the name of it.
Let me see if I can find it.
Might be I want to say the Blue Bell Inn, but I'm playing 2 campaigns, so that could be a different campaign.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember what the inn name was that you were staying in because you've been a while since you've been back there.
Yep.
For now, we will call this just the inn, the Adventurer's Choice Inn. We will call it for the moment. So you're able to make your way back there somewhat. By the time you get back there, you've dried off thanks to the incredibly cold air flying past you at top speeds as Fluffball makes the trackless miles disappear. And pretty soon you are back there and back at the inn. Your companions arrive about a half hour to 40 minutes later, still fairly damp and looking slightly, I don't know how they're feeling or acting, but they're slightly damp, I think, and tired might be the way to put it.
I'm like an all-over hangover. It's not just in my head now; it's everywhere.
it's a full hangover, yeah.
It's a full hangover.
Yeah.
Cold.
Full
I'm
body
not damp.
hangover.
I'm not damp. I was never wet.
Oh, that's true. You were not wet because you could. That's right. That's actually a good point.
That's true.
But probably, so we'll say that that River and Urash are definitely damp. Greta is not, although Greta's still tired, having had to walk, trudge all the way back.
And drag
Celsig
through
seems
time.
fresh and fine. Everything's okay. With that.
Yeah.
So
Celsig's on his 3rd mug.
I was literally going to say there was finishing off my 3rd one as you walk in.
Great minds, Brendan, great minds.
I got around it, but I drank them.
Around it. Now it's your turn. Well, personally, I could do with some food, maybe an ale, and a bed, because that was exhausting.
Yeah, but it was quite successful on the same.
Like I said, I think it went swimmingly.
Yeah.
I throw a chicken bone at Urash.
Ow. I throw a wet shoe at Celsic.
It could have been a hot topic.
Don't
but we
start.
handled it
Don't
really
start, Hobbit. I got another one of those. That one's got more holes in too.
all right. So you're going to take some food and some rest. So you're going to be able to do that. Is anyone, while you're doing this, doing anything during the evening, or are you going to essentially reconvene in the morning?
I think we should keep watch.
I think that's a good idea.
My
I will
head
too.
is aching too much to watch anything except the backs of my eyelids.
Oh.
that's-
You can go first then.
Yeah. Have we told Celsig what we learned?
No, I still don't know why he just jumped off the boat without kicking out.
I'll sit down with one of your ales, and I'll explain exactly.
One
what-
of your ales. Okay.
He jumped out of the window when we were done with Lord Driver.
With that bit, I just don't know why we had to leave the boat in a hurry.
Well, he kind of exploded, and like Palming came in, and we kind of said, Congratulations, you're the boss now. Can we live, please? And she said, yes, but you have 30 seconds to get off the boat. So that's where we got off the boat. But we have the information, at least.
This is what happens when I leave the rest of you to do the talking.
What, we survive? Because I'm pretty sure that's not on our usual to-do list.
Dryland didn't, did he?
He did. He died even twice.
Dryland's, well, okay, yeah, that's...
Yes, you mean he died again? You brought him back to life just to kill him again? How vengeful are you tonight?
How what am I?
Vengeful.
Raise him again.
I feel like I'm developing anger issues. If I have to
You are. Threatening to burn down a thing we're inside of is not good strategy.
It's absolutely.
I didn't burn down the boat, although I really, really wanted to.
I think it's just.
Yes, this is a worrying pattern after the Yap people.
I think it's just the warming influence of Tempest finally reaching Greta. To be honest with you, I think he's going to be incredibly pleased that I've brought someone new into the fold. She's going to have anger issues. She's going to start raging soon. She's going to embrace war and carnage, and it's going to be beautiful.
I think I preferred it when the light shone upon her.
I throw a chicken bone at Urash.
Ow! I throw my other wet shoe at Greta. I have socks next, people. Also, why do you people wear socks? All right? Let's just lay one thing down right now.
I put my hobbit feet on the table. Don't know what you mean.
You get it, right? You get it. But like other bipeds, and I'm saying this quite loudly now, I'm like, why socks? What is the point? Like, you've got feet and they've got skin on. You don't need skin on the skin of your feet. It just gets in the way. You have to wash them, right? You have to change them. Like, I mean, clothes are an annoyance anyway, but socks, I mean, they're just, why? Why socks?
I'm busy looking at my unsocked feet at the moment, getting very confused.
Yeah, you're just wiggling your claws on the table. You're just like, I don't understand Harfox. I'm like, no, you get it. I kind of understand Greta because, like, you don't want to have cold steel boots straight on your feet. But other people, and I kind of point to other people in the bar, I'm like, they got socks on. I don't get it.
Maybe it's a thing the humans invented.
Hang on. Are you assuming that they're wearing socks? Other people, are you wearing socks?
A couple of them look back towards you, kind of, sort of, one with like a mug halfway to their mouth, like, and then one old man's like, "Well, hi, Ham."
Aha!
Sort of
We found the man of socks.
And he looks at all of them and nods. Holds his mug up towards you.
I just don't get it.
The others kind of...
Socks. There's so many things about humans I don't understand.
I think it's just a thing someone invented to sell to other people, and it caught on.
Like,
I have an idea. How about you wear socks and then report back to us about the sock wearing? Because I will destroy the socks because my toes are pointy.
I've been wearing socks all night, and it's the worst thing I've ever endured. And I've died twice.
Old man, we need your input on socks.
The first thing you need is wool socks. Very thick wool socks is very important. And the next thing is to make sure you don't let holes get in them. You understand me, miss? You don't want holes in your socks, eh?
Now, hang on.
The three other people in the bar are like,
Can you tell my friend if these socks, and I just pull up Arash's foot, are these wool?
He says, no, those look like those Lord's dress socks. They're useless. You might as well put a handkerchief on your feet. Might as well wear tissue.
They're the worst things. They're just, and I kind of pluck, when you take your sock off, just like by the toe,
right.
I do that, but it just shreds. Like, I just basically pull half the sock off and the other half is still on my foot. I'm like,
that's where you went wrong.
Like, it's basically paper. What use is this? It doesn't protect me. It doesn't keep me warm. It doesn't keep me dry. I just flop it on the bar. I'm like, I don't get it.
You usually wear a loincloth. What do you know about staying warm and dry?
I am always warm. I come from the north, okay? I am always dry because my skin naturally is leathery, right? And thirdly, shut up.
I throw a chicken bone at Arash.
I throw my other half a wet sock at Celsic. Right, you don't want to carry on playing this game. Trust
At
me.
this point,
I don't know. I've eaten quite a lot while I was waiting. Well, Steve runs out of chicken bones or socks first.
I've just gone over to the old man and I am examining the wool socks.
You can see, lassie, that there's all different sorts of threads. You see, it's the amount of thread count is what you're looking for. You want a high thread count.
Yeah, it's very soft.
I always prefer a high dead count. I'm not going to lie. Whenever I go into battle with Tempest by my side, I always want a high dead count.
You want a high thread count. It's soft, although, of course, it's soft around his foot because he's got his foot basically up. He's like, you'll notice right there that there's a, you see that? That's got a thing right there, and that's that, right? You see? So he's like pointing out, you know.
And the whole time I'm like massaging his foot, like, ooh.
I just don't. And I just pull my sock off. I'm like, I don't understand why you would wear dress socks. They're not comfortable.
I have no idea how we got to Farscape Season 3 of weirdness, but I think we've officially arrived, which is like, I don't even know.
It's been a long campaign.
It has, yeah.
Long week.
I feel like my thread count in the last few months has been far too high. Too many threads. Seriously, this is not good. I feel like I shouldn't feel like this, but I think we should strike back. This is not okay. People keep threatening us all the time.
No, lassie, thread count, not threat. Anyway, why don't you massage my foot some more, and I'll tell you about the value of compression socks. Yes.
Oh, what do they do?
Well, you see, they're very good for those who have certain blood conditions. And
I throw a chicken bone at River.
You're gonna have to throw it
Like,
across the
gnaw
room,
on it
like
while I'm
really
doing
chuck it across the room.
Yeah? What sort of roll would that be? I'll do it.
I'll do it. Don't tempt me. I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, go ahead and make an attack roll for me. Let's see if you can actually hit them. And yeah, you're right. Lex level is another level of Farscape weirdness. That's right.
Ooh, Lex level weird.
So you throw it at who are you throwing?
She's in her ear.
Who are you throwing it at specifically?
River.
Okay, so River is just like just straight in the face, and the old man's like, "Hey, there'll be none." And he like struggles to get his foot clear of your hand, River. There'll be none of that. You don't attack. Where's McCain? There'll be none of that attack. She's here massaging my foot and talking about socks. How dare you? Bring me my cane. You realize that there's no cane to be found within like a. Well, I don't have one. Well, oh, damn it all. If I were 30 years younger, you'd pay for that chicken bone, laddie.
And another threat.
He sort of leans back.
I already paid for it.
All right, go back to the massaging.
On the list.
All the while I'm looking for the chicken bone, like, there was food here. Where did it go?
I smelt it. I can't find it though.
I smelled it briefly.
Yeah.
It's a lump on my head.
Yep.
Shot this food around or something.
Dunk. Yep.
Ah, good times.
I stomp off to bed.
Okay. Half socked. You know.
Half socked. I just, as I'm going up the stairs, I just like pull off the half a sock and then pull off the other sock and then just like take the dress trousers down, ripping them in two on the way there. I'm just like, fuck, I just don't get any of this. I just shut the door.
Like reverse Superman. You're just like, I'm out of this nonsense. Okay, the door slams behind you, leaving Greta and Celsig and River massaging an old man's foot and hearing about socks.
I'm not touching the foot. I'll go and I'll need to pray. I think I need to pray intensively tonight.
Okay.
Good night.
So Greta goes up to pray.
Yeah.
I acquire information from the man on the purchasing of socks and where one could be doing this thing.
He gives you a lot of details. He tells you the value of the dress socks for summer weather, the sort of thinner socks, about the wool socks for thicker weather. He talks about a not particularly well-sourced thing that he once heard about the idea that wool socks could be an infection risk if you got stabbed in the foot. And, you know, he talks about that. So, you know, so you get a lot of details.
I try to wander out of the inn to look for socks.
Okay. So Celsig, you watch as River, you know, somewhat unsteadily stumbles outside of the tavern at midnight to look and see if she can find a place for socks.
I'm going to bed.
Okay. All right. So you head off to bed.
And
sort
you
of
are
shake your
on-
head.
River's a grown dragon, I think. I don't know.
She looked after herself fine before we got involved.
So I think we advance the camera forward to the next morning, and the camera goes down on the montage, goes down on Celsig mounting the stairs, and then the lights come back in, and we see a silver dragonborn who is sleeping on the stoop of a place, a building, on the front of which is a sign with a needle and thread kind of hanging from it. So she's just there. The sign sort of moves back. There is a stray cat that kind of goes over and sniffs her, and then kind of like swishes her tail in River's face. And then the door opens, and so, oi! And this woman is looking down at River and kind of, what? Oi! And she reaches down and shakes you awake, River. Oi!
Wait,
What are you doing?
wait.
Clear out! I don't have any homeless on my stoop.
No, I'm not homeless. I'm sockless.
What?
I need wool. Socks.
And she kind of she stares at you and then down to your feet, still lying on the ground, of course, and then up to you. You need socks? You got scales!
They're not for me. They're for my friends.
You want socks for your friends? You're not dealing with a curse,
kind
are
lady,
you?
You don't understand. I need them.
She kind of stands up and, all right, follow me in then. And so when you follow her in, are you just buying socks?
I'm
from her?
buying 3 pairs of wool socks.
I think you're able to do that. You can buy 3 pairs of wool socks that are dwarf, halfling, and half-orc sized, respectively.
Yes.
And then, of course, you have, you're not going to try for yourself because she does, however, offer to knit you or to give you a scarf, which is a silver scarf. She's willing to give you.
I take it happily. How many of these shiny things do you need for that?
And she sort of looks you up and down and she says, well, I don't rightly know. I don't know whether to say that you should take it for free for pity or you should give me more for spending time in the poorhouse with you. Let's say 5 gold for the lot. That'll be the socks, and it'll be the scarf, and it'll be me not turning you into the guards for sleeping on my stoop.
Here you go, kind lady. 5 of these shiny yellow sticks, coins. These, I will take my presents and become the best person. And I just give her a big hug.
And she takes the hug like, all right, dearie. You have a good day now.
Thank you. Goodbye, lady.
You wander off. In the meantime, Greta and Celsig and Uresh, I suspect, unless any of you are staying in your rooms, I suspect that you've made your way downstairs for a breakfast. The old man is no longer there. And in fact, there's really not many there except one dwarf who is nursing a mug of something, some kind of, possibly you can see steam rising from it, so some kind of coffee or tea perhaps. And there's no sign of River, though.
So
I remember
where's
what we'd
River?
forgotten. We were supposed to win back somebody's shop while we were on the boat.
Yeah, well, that kind of fell apart, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the guy's dead. Palming said she's owing us something, so maybe I should go and ask her.
I think the owing was not being killed on the spot from what you described.
Oh, I feel like she totally owes me.
Oh, then yeah,
You can go back and discuss that with her.
absolutely. We'll
I
be
will.
outside the boat. We'll be outside the boat waiting for you.
But still, is River still in her room? I go upstairs and
yeah,
knock on her room.
I know. I banged on the door as we went
No, wait.
past.
Yeah, no
We
answer.
shared a room. River and I shared a room, didn't we?
I think that's right, actually, yeah.
Probably
Said I
was
don't
not
know
there.
whose room I banged on, but it wasn't Rivers.
So River didn't come to our room last night. Did she go with the sock guy?
Okay,
Oh no.
if we were River, where would we go? And my brain
Food.
explodes from the possibilities.
Did she go back to the boat for the food? No, she wouldn't, right?
No, she would
I
probably
think she
gone.
ate when we got here, so there's a slight chance she might not have been hungry at that precise moment.
It's river.
I know. That's why I said slight chance.
Like saying there's a slight chance I won't want a barroom brawl or a bear or a fist fight or an arm wrestle.
Well, sometimes you're asleep.
At which point you
No,
see,
in my sleep.
at which point you see River walk through the front door, a little unsteadily, bearing some bag or package, basically.
Party!
Have you-
Party! I have brought you presents of woolly fashion. And I start handing them the socks.
I can't believe you didn't buy food. Thank you. I take my socks. I wear socks.
Thank you.
So yes, I now have more good socks. I'm happy with this.
I gotta be honest, these aren't terrible socks. I mean, these I don't normally wear them, but I do have those fluffy white boots that we got from somewhere. So you know, they may help with those.
Wait, no, I've learned something from the sock giver. And then I just show my scarf. Look, it's 2 socks tied together that you wear around your neck.
That's very cool.
And then they're like pocket.
We should get you a tail sock.
We gotta go back to the lady. Can she do that?
I mean, of course we could. Yes, you could have a beautiful tail sock.
Oh, we should go back to the lady. I forgot how I got there. I forgot how I got here. It's sort of just magicked here.
You've been up all night.
I've been up until it got light out.
Right.
Oh, maybe
You
breakfast.
probably get some sleep.
Oh, I love breakfast. What's for breakfast?
I don't know. What's breakfast? We've not gotten to that far. We discussed where you might be.
Breakfast
It's a continental
is
breakfast of,
several. Yes,
pastries.
I was gonna say breakfast here at this place. This is not. It's sort of rough and ready, but at least it's edible and functional. So you have a couple of sausages. There's some grilled bread, which you think they might be calling newfangled toast or something like that. There's that. There are also a couple of eggs on each of your plates, and there is a large container of butter, basically in the middle, and another of fresh jam, which is pretty nice. And then just, mugs of water. You could theoretically, I suppose, get beer or meat if you wished.
Hello, a breakfast beer.
I mean, it'd be rude not to.
But
Yeah.
we know we've been in the river, so we know what's been in the water.
It's true.
Beer's safer.
Yeah. The beer is safer. Wherever you go, the beer is normally safer. Yeah, I'll have a breakfast stout and a nice breakfast.
Okay, so you're able to do that. This is going to end up costing.
Whatever's in front of me.
Yeah, this is going to end up costing a couple of gold collectively for all of you. Just 2 gold should cover it for everybody. But
It's just like, how cheap is this food?
It's so yummy.
I just ate half a sock.
Oh, go with the cost of breakfast.
Good man.
Thank you. You know,
That reimburses
have a
you for
remarkable
leaving us in a
amount of money
forest.
for a ranger.
When? What?
When you rode off on Fluffball
Oh.
and left us.
He needed a run. I'm a
Never.
responsible pet owner.
Never split the party. That's all I'm gonna say.
It
But
was
no.
fine.
You wanted to run on back to Yatar. Anyway, we'll discuss that later. Irresponsible halfling.
Oh, I thought you couldn't keep up.
You're
Oh.
on. Do you know what? It doesn't matter. You paid for breakfast. It's fine. Yeah, it's paid in food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, the Kraken Society.
I'm sad they killed the octopus. I wanted to name him Squidgy.
Seth.
You want a pet?
Of course I want a pet.
What
Have
do
you
you want?
seen Squidgy? Did you see Squidgy?
Yes, I did.
He was a perpetual hug.
It's just Schrodinger's hug.
Like so many hugs.
Name him calamari. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I can't name him anything because he's dead, and we didn't even get to eat him. So it's just disappointing.
Maybe we could get you another pet that is like not an evil octopus.
Can
No,
I
no,
go
there's
with-
an evil octopus.
Oh,
I don't think that I had any political affiliations.
I think I could have a little mind flayer spawn.
What? But what?
I'm just like, what's a mind flayer?
a what?
I was instructed to ask that.
Maybe not. We could get you. I don't know. A squirrel.
I love squirrel, especially in stew.
I
Okay,
don't think
so
River should have a
the-
pet.
If she would feel better with a pet, you got a pet.
I don't plan on eating him.
Well, we could get her a pet that she doesn't eat.
I would never eat Fluffball. He's the best boy.
He is the best boy.
He is.
Absolutely 100%
Yeah,
best boy.
he's
Fluffball,
the
who's
absolute
by the
best boy.
door, sort of lying with his hand between his paws, just kind of lifts his head, regally looks in your direction, and then goes back and then lowers his head again below his two paws.
Best boy.
I'm just like, best boy.
Yeah.
We collectively, we're just like, finger guns, best boy.
We all know guns.
The dwarf on the side is just sort of like occasionally like looking over at the four of you and just, drinking his steaming mug of whatever liquid that is.
Travelers.
You could have a canary bird. You could teach it to speak.
A canary?
Yes, it's like a little bird thing.
Do they talk?
You can teach them to talk.
I want one.
Yeah, let's get you a canary.
Can we go to a pet store?
Do you have any money?
Yeah. That's what this
Why?
is, right? And I just like show all of my coins.
Okay, yeah. Well, so we should go get a canary, and then we should go back to Narissa and tell her what we found out, right?
Rash needs his axe.
We do need to go back to Neverwinter before we go anywhere else dangerous. And I feel going back to Narissa may end up being just slightly dangerous because it's us.
But our stuff is here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but my axe isn't.
Yeah, you've been able to be re-equipped, I would say, with what you had.
And we got a long rest, right?
Yes, that was a long rest.
Life is so good.
Put the fireball away.
What? I should
Yeah.
put the fireball away. Yeah, I wanted to put it somewhere, but I didn't.
It just snaps her fingers and the grand dame just bursts into flames. Doing stuff like that, you're going to get a reputation.
Must
And
have
not
been a
a
bad fish.
particularly good one.
A fault is like this on your way.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's like the flaming boat going down the river. Killing, tons of innocent people, but but boy, what a great moment. Anyway, okay, so you are able to be re-equipped. After breakfast, where are you headed then?
Pet
Well,
store.
apparently we're going to a pet store.
Okay. So a pet store, specifically a bird store, or a pet
I'd
store.
like to browse the wares.
Okay. Okay. That seems reasonable. So, all of you go down. Now, Yartar, of course, Yartar is a medium city, I guess you might say, a medium-sized city, but it does not have the incredible scope of like Neverwinter or Waterdeep or, Baldur's Gate or one of these places. So what that means is that you have fewer options available to you, but you do find eventually a spot which is Arterith's Amazing Animals is the name of it. And on the outside of this thing, you can see a sign that shows like a pig and a sheep sort of just lying down, sleeping next to each other. And then above them is a wolf growling at like a dragon. And then the dragon is breathing fire. And that end of the fire makes the end of the A, basically, that like creates. It's very, cool looking, right? And you can see that it's kind of an odd building in that it seems to be very wide and long, not tall. So you could go into it, obviously, but it seems like there's only one floor, but it just seems like a really long floor. And when you go into it, you can see why, because there is someone behind a counter on one side, and then there is, first of all, a prodigiously powerful smell of, things that are associated with animals. And then down sort of on the side of the building, you can see, or inside the building, you can see that there are a bunch of open stalls with doors on them. So they're open, like you can see them, but they're gated, so they're closed off, so that the things within cannot escape. And you see that there are a variety of animals, and some of them are making sounds too. And there's cows and sheep, but there's also and other sounds that seem to be more like mystical and that sort of thing. So you see that also. And the person behind the counter says, what did I say? Arnavins? I think I said Arnavins. Arnavins Amazing Animals. I'm going to make sure I write that down. Okay. And so you see this guy who comes out, and he's wearing a vest. He has these spectacles and kind of this wispy, patchy white hair. But you can see also that he has got just like there's hay and like what looks like feed and possibly animal waste on other parts of his body. Like he just looks like he's covered in animal products. And he says, "Yes, welcome to Onovan's Amazing Animals. Any animal is available to you, and all of them are amazing. What may I do for you?" And he sort of smiles and nods at you.
I would like an amazing animal. I have this much. And I show him 95 gold.
He says, 95 gold. And he thinks for a bit. And then he says, "Very well, let me consult the book and see what 95 gold will get you."
A really expensive bunny.
I'll take it.
Yeah, he
Gold
begins
hamster.
begins to look
Oh,
at
gold.
I have some familiarity with what happens to people who turn up and go, "I have all this money. What will it get me?"
Uh-huh.
I didn't expect River to know how to shop.
Less than you might expect.
Okay, so let me back up with that. There's that. Okay. Right. Let's see. So he can see that it's 95 gold at a glance. He's used to figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Let's see. So he looks at that and he says, "Well," and he kind of considers different options that are available. He said, "It depends on whether you're looking for," sorry, I got his voice wrong. "It depends on whether you're looking for a particular mount to ride or whether you're looking for something which would just be a sort of companion about."
I just look at me. I don't think I could write anything.
And he says, "Well, that depends on what animal we're discussing. There are numerous examples of things that are possible. For example," and he sort of walks you down the stalls, and he says, "For example, you could get a simple donkey or a mule," and he sort of points that out, and you can see that there's a donkey or a mule there, and this would be a mere 15 gold. Something would allow you to get multiple mules or donkeys if you wished. Or perhaps you might be interested in several horses. We keep those outside. One of those would be 75 gold. There'd be more involved there, but that's certainly a possibility. In other places, they have such things. In Waterdeep, I've heard, they even have camels, but that's not something that we have. There is a war horse you could get, of course, outside. Here is some of the armor, and he stops at the last stall, and you can see there's a bunch of, like, horse armor there. And he's like, "This, for a mere 400 gold, you could have a war horse that would be incredibly powerful in combat. And also, you could even think about getting, perhaps, an elephant. There are small ones, although we do not have any as of yet, but we could order one for you, and that would be only 200 gold for that to manage. Then again, there are the smaller ones. We have goats, foxes, we have, of course, a monkey, even an otter. Oh, and of course, this. And he reaches down into one of the stalls, and there's a smaller box, and he pulls out some squirming thing. And as he lifts it up, you can see that it's actually a fairly good-sized rat. And the rat sort of...
What is it?
This, of course, is a rat. It is a lovely animal, deeply intelligent, capable of many, many things. In one case, it can be well trained. They are clean and loyal creatures. There is a terrible rumor that they are associated with dirt and filth and disease, but that is false. This here would make an excellent familiar for a wizard or sorcerer, or simply a good friend. Why, look, it's already taken a liking to you. And the rat is like... and then, like, its tail flicks around and sort of, like, you know, moves his tail around. Also, did you bring Fluffball with you, Celsig?
Well, he's sitting outside.
Okay. So, all right. In that case, the rat is just going to continue to, you know, do what I mentioned.
I would like this one, please. I take the rat and I'm just like, hi.
And the rat kind of sniffs your hand and then, like, curls its tail around your wrist and then sort of settles down in your hand. Well, he seems to like you. Fortunately, there's a special deal on rats going on. It is only a single gold piece. Most of the time, these are more expensive, but for you, anything. Be aware, by the way, that there are times when this rat will behave slightly oddly. Just make sure that you keep the rat well fed, and be careful with other animals around it. That's all. Simply think of it. That's all.
So don't feed after midnight and don't get it wet. Gotcha.
Exactly, yes. I wouldn't name it Gizmo either. It's bad luck. I wouldn't want to do that either.
It will not be named Gizmo. It will be named Squeak Pants. And he was mine. And he is my Squeak Pants.
And so he nods and he says, very well, and you exchange your gold with him. And he gives you a box of food and some cotton, like for the rat to nest in, and inside this little box that you have.
Perfect. I leave happily with Squeak Pants.
All right, so we now have and I got to write this down. So we now have Fluffball the Mastiff and Squeak Pants the Rat.
Who has an issue near other animals, if I heard correctly.
That is the case. When you first bring it out, Squeak Pants is in his box, and Fluffball is kind of like sniffs and then like leans his nose over towards the box, and then looks up at you like,
don't worry, it's Squeak Pants. We will be best friends in a minute.
And kind of sniffs somewhat disdainfully and turns away.
He's got nothing on you, boy.
Squeak Pants. Okay. Which means I think we have time for one last note, which is, where are you folks going once you have gotten this shopping out of the way?
I think we should go back to Narissa and tell her.
Well, Yata for the teleport to Neverwinter. Was it Neverwinter? Neverwinter. So we can get the axe back. And then did we actually have a way back after that point?
We have a horn, don't we?
Oh, we still got the horn.
Yes, we have the conch.
Yes.
Conch.
The conch of teleportation. Mm-hmm.
The conch teleportation. So there's no problem in us going to Neverwinter, pick up the axe from the blacksmith, maybe go, if it's okay with everyone, to the Church of Tempest, get it anointed, because this is going to be part of me for essentially the rest of my life, and then go to Maelstrom. Is that right?
If that sounds like what you're all doing, then you are going to make your way to the teleportation circle to Yartar. And as you make your way towards where that goes, sort of heading off, you can see that in the distance, a little bit of a cutscene, you can see Fluffball walking along, occasionally looking up at this box suspiciously that River is carrying with Squeak Pants involved. And maybe just as they are moving up to where they're going to get to the, go outside of town, because remember that the teleportation circle is outside of town, just as they're leaving, they might, perhaps in the crowd, catch a sight of a rather familiar-looking bard whose name might rhyme with pesto as they are departing the city. And with that visual image, we are going to bring a very strange but very entertaining session of D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder to a close, because we've got to give way for Pantsless Aaron. This was a lot of fun. I honestly did not know where all that was going to go. And I'm pretty sure none of you knew where it was all going to go either. And so it was fun to just kind of ride the wave and see where things were happening. And you did gather some information with some strange things that happened in the middle there. I will start at the bottom with Tasty Chai. Always a pleasure, Chai. I'm glad that River got a chance to get her own pet. And I really enjoyed the idea that you started with this somewhat semi-serious discussion with Nesto about how stuff was going to happen, and then at some point you end up having a discussion with an old man about the value of socks. It was an interesting, roller coaster ride. How'd you feel about today? Where would the lovely folks see you next?
Not only did we have a conversation about the value of socks, but I went out and purchased some.
Yeah, no, you were not joking around. Yeah, you were straight up.
I was not. I don't mess around with wool socks. As far as where the people can see me next will be tomorrow morning over on my channel. We've been playing Frostpunk, which has been a lot of fun. And if you guys are into horror games, Fridays and Saturday nights I've been playing Phasmophobia with my family and a few friends. So that's been a lot of fun too. So feel free to check out those over on my channel.
Well, I know what I'm watching.
Good stuff. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Chai. Also a pleasure to have with us Mike Smith. Mike, always a pleasure. I'm glad that you had a chance to have Urash do a little bit of intimidation and then to rip off, there's a sense of catharsis, I think, about just ripping off these clothes and discarding them as you headed up after being like, what the hell was all of that?
This isn't me, man. This isn't.
This is not my bag. This is not my thing.
Point me towards a battle and I'm fine.
You have to follow your bliss. How did you feel about today? Where would the lovely folks see you next?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. It's always pleasure it's healing to play this game with you guys. And when I'm in a good place and we're all in a good place, I think it's just the most healing thing we can do is just chill out with each other. So I really appreciate it. It is digital therapy, like I've said many times before, so I appreciate it more than I can probably express, to be honest with you. If you want to find out what's happening with me, you can check out my Twitter account, which is @peripheralmike. I've also got some bits and pieces coming up on the website. That's peripheralmedia.net. And also, hopefully by the next time you watch us play this, you will see the trailer video, which is in its final stages of production.
I've seen an early version. It's awesome. You will not want to miss it, chat. You will definitely not want to miss it.
That's me. Peace and love, everyone.
Thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure. And we will speak soon. We will also speak to Darksaber 2K. Because Celsig had a couple of interesting experiences, including the moment of like sneaking through the window, and I was kind of cracking up. It was not a funny moment for the party at that time, but the fact that you're just outside the window, like, well, come on, and you're just staring at Urash, who's like 3 times the size of the portal, and I'm just like, really? It was I found that very, very amusing. But
surely you could break the wall down.
It's very true. And then you made your way back on Fluffball more rapidly than everyone else. You even critical hit River with a chicken bone. So I think a lot went right for Celsic today. How'd you feel about today? Where were the lovely folks seeing next?
It was a lot of fun. I did particularly like the bit after we got off the ship and we were basically just throwing chicken bones at each other.
Yes.
Trading observations on socks and the need for socks and how actually most of us don't wear socks after all.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, why do you all wear socks? Well, I'm a halfling. I don't. Well, I'm a dragonborn. I don't.
That was so very clearly the blowing off steam RP that I'm just like, let's let it go. I'm enjoying watching it take place.
So very enjoyable, very, very funny as well. And yeah, looking forward to next time, definitely. I'll be back tomorrow where I'm going to be playing Fallout New Vegas. And I want to say it's unmodded. I'm going to be saying this a lot because people will be asking. It'll be unmodded New Vegas. I'm just picking up an old save file I found because it's Fallout anniversary. And I thought, yeah, why not? Fallout New Vegas, best of the new ones anyway. So I'm going to be picking up.
Good stuff. Thank you, Saber. Always a pleasure. And thank you as well also to our fearless leader, Pyron. I really have been enjoying, Pyron, the evolution of Greta Goldenfire into, like you said, the thing about the anger issues. And there's definitely more of just like, well, you can do that and then I can burn your ship to the ground. And I'm like, wow, this is very fiery of Gulden Fire, Greta. I was enjoying watching that all kind of play out. How are you feeling about things? I wasn't joking when I said season 3 of Farscape. Just like, Crichton just kind of losing it, starting to lose it as time goes on. How'd you feel about today, Pyre, and where will the fine folks see you next?
I laughed today. It was absolutely wonderful. Although I'm a bit sad we forgot about the guy who lost his business.
Yeah.
But still, well, there were a few side quests that we abandoned in the course of this adventure.
True.
So this is just another one. But still, next week, for the whole week, we're going to celebrate Halloween on the GOG.com Twitch channel. And we're going to have a lot of amazing streams. We're going to have cosplay. We're going to have face paint. And of course, we're also trying to bring back our trusty Halloween bot, the Trick or Treat bot that some of you might know.
Oh, yeah.
And for the certain Halloween streams, we're still collecting how many streams we have, and so that I know how many keys we need for the Trick or Treat box. But we're working on it. We are completely working on it. So next week on Thursday, I will stream Ring of Pain if nothing unforeseen happens, which currently is just real life happening all the time. But yeah, that's it.
Good stuff, as always. Thank you, Pyron. I'm going to let the lovely players go. Thank them, as always, for being some of the most fun that I have in a given month, because it's just a lot of laughter, which is always really enjoyable. And they are making good progress. They've learned some valuable information, and they're zooming in on what they need to zoom in on. It'll be interesting to see how many pets they get on the way. Thanks, everybody. Chat, can we get some love for our amazing players? Thank you to Pyron J, to Darksaber2K, to Mike Smith, and to Tasty Chai. And players, I will see all of you lovely folks in various places, but back here next month. Bye for now, all. And that is going to do it for us for today and for episode 246 of Pen and Pixels. This was a lot of fun, as I knew it would be, as it always is. Because, as I say, every one of my campaigns has a different feel, and this is definitely just it's a lot of fun, kind of goofy fun. And not goofy fun like they just joke and don't get anything done. They do get things done. It's just that sometimes joking becomes a part of it, and so that's always a good time, regardless. But I now have to give way here to, as I just realized I don't have my chat up, I have to give way to Pantsless Aaron. So Community D&D will not be tomorrow. Okay, so it'll probably be the next Wednesday. I'll check in on that. But I have to give way to Pantsless Aaron, who's going to be playing some Dead Space. So the Space of Deadness will be next. So if you enjoyed and had a lot of fun, get ready for a lot of horror, okay, which is a different kind of fun. But I hope everyone enjoyed today. I will be back here next week on Pen and Pixels with the continuation of my next game that I'm playing, which is Vaporum Lockdown. That's the game that's going to be the video game focus of my Pen and Pixels shows for the next couple of months or so while I'm working on that. And then sometime next month, within a few weeks, we will have our next session of D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. I'll also be back on my own channel on Friday with Esper Genesis, which is my space opera game. If you liked what you saw tonight and you want a different game feel and you want something which is focused on space opera and is kind of like a mix of Mass Effect and Star Wars, then you're definitely going to want to check out Esper Genesis, which is going to be on my channel. And Saturday, I continue on my channel with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Otherwise, I'll see you folks back here. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream. Please make sure to follow us here on GOG.com. Please sub to the channel on GOG.com. And sub to us on GOG.com here, and please click through to our own individual sessions as well, because that would be very much appreciated. But otherwise, I'm going to head on out. Please stick around now for Pantsless Aaron, and I will see you folks either on my channel on Friday or on this channel next week on Tuesday at 4 p.m. for Pen and Pixels and for Vaporum Lockdown. Until then, everyone be good to each other. If you're a U.S. citizen, go register to vote. We need you ready. Make a plan to vote, because it's never been more important. And otherwise, I'm going to see all you lovely folks soon. Thanks, everybody. Much love, and see y'all soon. Be good to each other. Have a good night.